Hey, hey, hey. I think
Hey.
I think we're here. I think we're doing a thing. This song, the intro song, I changed it up tonight for episode 9 because, well, to tell you the truth, I went and saw these guys live, like
Nice.
last night in Manchester at the Shaskeen pub, right there downtown or whatever.
Nice. I've been there. It's a good one.
It's an Irish pub, and I love an Irish pub.
And as you might imagine, impossible to get into on St. Patty's Day.
Oh, I bet, yeah. I mean, unless you're like the first guy in the door or
Right.
something, right? You get there super early, you plan it out, you camp out, right? You know, like you're waiting for the new Star Wars flick to...
Or to vote.
Apparently, for those of
We
you...
need to be ready
For
to
those...
sit in line for days to be able to vote.
For those of you just tuning in on Free Talk Live earlier, we were talking about this thing where apparently people who got in line and waited to vote maybe as much as overnight to do the deed, and so somebody came up with an idea to like send pizzas to the people who were waiting in line, and then the next thing you know, like musical people are showing up, putting on impromptu concerts, in front of people waiting, for hours and hours in line for their, right to vote or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my God, what a horrible idea. I think I'd rather be poked in the eye with like blazing hot ice picks, one after the other.
Well, you see, we've got to balance it out. So we just had the version of voting where all of a sudden, and just for this one vote, everyone gets to vote from home. So to balance that out, we've got to have a vote where people like starve to death waiting for the chance to get through the line.
So anyway, back to this song. It's called Granite State Destroyer, and these guys are from New Hampshire.
Awesome.
I think I've told this bit once on Free Talk Live, but I'll tell the Beard Talk Live listeners. Randomly one day, about a year and a half after I moved to New Hampshire, a friend of mine, Chris, from back in the Seattle area, pings me with a YouTube link to this. He's like, hey, man, I just heard this song randomly, and I was like, I think you might enjoy this, Captain. And so he sent me the link, and I clicked on it, I listened to it, and I was like, yeah, I do enjoy that, And then I was like, who are these guys? And I'm like, oh, look, they have, 10 releases, like 10, I won't say albums, a couple of them are EPs, 3, 4, 5 songs, that kind of a thing. But they've been doing putting out a lot of music for a long time. And so I've started
more musical releases than I've made.
I started listening to their entire catalog, as it turns out, because they're pretty good. And I guess they're pretty popular here in New Hampshire. They used to play up and down the sort of East Coast. They were one of these like almost got signed to a label way back in the day kind of bands.
Yeah, I think I've been told about this. I think Zephan was talking about this, and you know how gaga over New Hampshire he is.
So I just love the first, the bit, that intro bit. Weed, guns, and axes. We don't pay our taxes because we don't exist on any government list. I'm like, that's poetry, man. That really sings to me. And the whole chorus, like our battle cry, live free or die, right? I'm like, it says so right on the license plates.
There is a surprising amount of axe throwing up here.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't tell you. I was at a place recently that had axe throwing. And I was going to attempt to throw some axes, except when I got there, the guy to, like, I guess you have to have a license to throw axes or to run a place to throw axes or something. And so the right person wasn't there. I ended up playing pinball because it was a pinball and axes throwing place. If only they had tanning, it would be the perfect trifecta of businesses that you're like, wow, these are together, huh?
Well, I mean, I can see kind of why you would put those two together. Like, I mean, you throw things in an arcade, right? I mean, usually basketballs, which are slightly less pointy, but you throw things at targets in an arcade. It's a thing, and you play pinball in an arcade. But I would not think that those two specifically. Well, and I mean, of all the things where like the machine I don't want you to throw axes near
Yeah.
would probably be, I mean, some people are serious about their pinball machine, especially if it's like your pinball machine of your favorite fandom. Like that can be a prized possession right there.
And they have those. Those are all over. There's like the Star Trek one. There's the.
Oh, yeah.
They have the one that's just the Avengers, and then they have like individual ones for each Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, okay, the Hulk one and the Captain America one and the Iron Man one, you know. So
yeah, it's the rule 34.5 is that if you can think of it, there is a pinball machine of it.
Oh, wow.
Like, practically true. Like, if you can think of like a series or
because they say that about porn too. If you can think of it, there's porn for it. And so now I'm thinking of a pinball machine that does nothing but show porn that people haven't thought of yet.
I think you just blew my mind with that one.
Nice.
It's like, yeah, no,
my work's done.
Seen it. Oh,
my work's done now.
How would you design that? And now part of my brain, like I
there's
now
an
have
algorithm.
a back burner.
I'm sure somebody's already built the algorithm for this.
It's like, hold on. Now, how do I consistently think up things that no one's ever thought of before without having my brain there?
It's weird that like when it comes to like early adoption of technology, that not only porn but media, right? Like they sort of take the ball and run whenever something new is in or a new way of delivering something media. This is true particularly in the rise of software. Like all of the newest software and the fastest computers would go to television, movies, and the audio industry first. And if you wanted to be like using the latest and greatest edge of technology kind of thing, you had to be employed, in one of those industries.
You had to be in the industry for it. Yeah, I mean, that stands pretty much to reason that you get the best stuff in whatever industry you're in.
Well, you have to be at the part of the industry where they can afford the new stuff, is what I'm saying. Like that's where the money is, or was at least, in sort of the advent of digital technology. Having gone through that just as a person is weird, right? Like I used to think about, for my grandparents, they were older than television, right? So like, what was it like before television? Right?
A radio.
Right, of course. So, but like the daily activities of your life changes depending on the amount of technology involved. Right? So
no, I think it's fucking wacky that, okay, so we have all of the crazy technology for communications we have now.
Yeah.
Whereas within my generation, it was just television.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. And not too long, but a little longer before, it was just a radio.
Yeah.
Before that, it was just newspapers. And then before that, for fucking ever,
telegraph.
It was just people talking.
Telegraph.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well, there were books. Books are the original network, right?
Have you run across any of the, people freaking out about the telegraph? Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I know there's articles about it. I've seen microfilm style, archive.
The microfiche.
People of all the technologies, right? Like the invention of the car, right? People are like, you don't need a motorized buggy. We got perfectly good horses and wagons to pull. But
you'll be going too fast.
Nobody needs to go.
Okay, fair.
Nobody needs to go 25 miles per hour.
Well, I mean, if you think about every conspiracy that's ever happened about technology has been a little bit true. Like, okay, so I don't need to go over 25 miles per hour, but that does have an effect on my psyche that I've gotten used to, going at 60 miles an hour. Like that's an easy, normal thing for me. That has changed my relationship to reality.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a whole subsection of my reality that, if I reach out and touch things while I'm doing that, I have to go to a hospital. And this is a thing that I do frequently, all the time. I will just drive at 60 miles an hour. So my basic relationship to physical reality shifts to a point where I'm there, but I'm not there. Because, like, that's completely alien to a human psyche, to be completely unable to touch things.
Yeah.
Like, all of them.
I used to wonder things like, this is how little I know about physics, right? If you're standing in the back of a pickup truck and the pickup truck is traveling at 60 miles an hour forward, and you have a baseball in your hand and you just happen to have the ability to throw a 60-mile-an-hour fastball, right? When you throw that ball while you're standing in the back of the pickup truck already going 60 miles an hour, and you throw that ball, is that ball traveling 120 miles per hour now?
To some, that number one depends on which way you threw it.
The same direction the vehicle is traveling.
Okay. Number two, and more importantly for this point, from what perspective? What's your point of reference?
Right, yeah.
So for someone who's outside the train, yes. Yes, absolutely. For someone who is outside the train, who has like a little radar gun pointed at that ball at that exact moment, will absolutely clock it at 120 miles an hour.
What if you're standing in the truck and the truck is moving forward, but you're facing backwards, and then you throw it at a 60-mile-an-hour fastball?
It will literally stand still.
Oh. So you can reach out and grab it again?
From the perspective of a person who's standing there.
Right.
So yeah, if someone was standing at the exact spot where you threw that exactly 60-mile-an-hour fastball there, they could
I don't think it
just go under
and
catch it
still.
Because it would. Well, as far as backward is concerned,
I think you're thinking of if I'm facing forward and the truck is traveling forward. Because if I'm facing backwards and the truck is traveling forward and there's a car behind me and I throw the baseball at that car, it's going through that car's window.
But that's a different frame of reference.
But
now your frame of reference is moving in a direction at 60 miles an hour.
So at what perceived speed does the person driving the car behind me that I just threw the baseball through the window at, what perceived speed does it hit him in the face?
The speed that you threw it.
60 miles an hour. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah.
This concludes today's physics lesson, by the way.
No, it's fucking weird, right? Well, and that's the thing. So it gets so much worse than that.
Hey, should we do this thing? Because I think, like, people have been trying to call, and I haven't been picking up the calls. There's been at least one guy dropped, maybe two. Yeah? All right, let's do it. Here we go. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
Hey, dickhead, who the fuck you think it is?
Richard Cranium, welcome to the show.
Captain fucking Fantastic.
No, that's not quite it. Some people have said, wait, what is it, Captain Awesome?
I'm trying to give you a cape and goggles and such.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm nobody's hero. And not nobody, but no one's. Folks should not look up to me as a hero.
Hey, nobody got a chuckle. It's good enough.
What's on your mind, Major?
Well, I don't know. Could I please fuck you one more time? No, never mind. That was a bad statement.
What are you talking about?
Captain Cranium.
I have a great idea.
Wow.
Let's not let him just go on about what he's going on about.
Well,
I have a specific question for Major Ping?
I have a specific question.
All right, Major, you specific question coming your way. Get ready for it.
Major, what is the adult border story?
The adult border. Oh, okay.
There you go.
So I was rolling through, had to do the Greyhound thing. My son lost a good car out in North Dakota, and so I had to go do the Greyhound thing. He'd got the car started, couldn't drive the car home, so I had to go do a rescue mission. And I'm rolling through on, I don't remember if it's Indian Trails or Greyhound or whatever, but I come upon, I think it was Duluth, Minnesota, border town. And there was them federal incarceration agencies, but border control.
Mm.
Border Patrol, Border Control.
Now, I've actually never gone to Canada, so I am literally just imagining Mounties.
You've never been to Canada?
I've never been to
these were
Canadandia.
American- These
The
were
Canadian frontier.
These were American border control. So I step off the fucking Greyhound bus. It was like a, 3.5 hour. It was a piss break. Stretch your legs.
Okay.
I didn't expect nothing. So I'm wearing a camo jacket, old, probably mid-80s, the regular leaf pattern,
Yeah.
and camouflage pants, and I got a duffel bag, green military duffel bag over my shoulder. And
Okay.
I step off the bus, and this cocksucker looks at me, and he says, "Which country are you from?" So I kind of stammer, and it was winter time too. And I drug my toe in the snow, and I says, "Well, this one." And he looked at me like so confounded, and then he looked at his buddy that was behind him. It was obviously his.
That's got to be something that no border control agent has ever wanted to hear. What country are you from? This one.
I am a man with no country. I am an anarchist.
So he looks at his buddy, and his buddy just shakes his head, and he says, "This dude's all right."
Yeah, all right.
And I went to a piss break, and that was that. But yeah, it's funny.
God, that's not really funny at all. You got on a bus
I was
and took a piss
a
break
little
and-
disappointed at this
and
one.
then somebody told you were okay, and that's really it.
Like I wasn't disappointed at the kid one because it wasn't supposed to be funny. But this one was supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, I'm sorry I disappointed y'all. It's
Major,
not
you're telling it
very
wrong.
often it happens.
No, we're not disappointed. We're just
I know this one. You're telling it wrong.
we're just appointed.
The only thing I can tell you is the truth, buddy. And that's what I always do.
What if I become misappointed?
Unappointed?
Well, they're probably been misappropriated.
Well, I mean, if you've got misinformation and disinformation,
Mr. Information.
you should be able to have disappointment and misappointment.
Well,
So what
then
if I
would
become misappointed?
I would become Captain Fiddlefuck then, wouldn't I?
Or malappointed. I could get malappointed.
Who's Mal, and why would they be appointed?
The only Mal that is worth talking about is, of course, from Firefly.
From Firefly, the
Yeah.
captain of the
Malcolm Reynolds. Malcolm
When you
motherfucking
break
Reynolds is the only
three-
Mal that I'm concerned with.
If you break 3 strings on a fiddle, can you play a proper tune? I think we've all been misappropriated one time or another.
I would only be known as Mr. Appropriated, but sure, whatever,
Well, I would imagine that if you can break 3 strings on a fiddle and still play a proper tune, you might want to go for that golden fiddle at that point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you break 3 strings on a fiddle, you can't play a proper tune.
Well, you say that.
Depends on the tune, right?
I mean, I don't know. I've seen some pretty amazingly skilled musicians. Like, you give the right one just 1 string and they'll play you a tune.
Well, what? I've seen washboard tub musicians.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can appreciate a one-tooth musician. Imagine that.
Dude, I seen this band called Maha Mawaldi. I know, it's a weird name. It's spelled like M-A-H. Anyway, spelling's not important. Maha Mawaldi. It's M-W-A-L-D-I is the last part of Mawaldi, right? There's no vowel in there or anything. At any rate, a guy played guitar and did a little bit of singing, but had one arm. Like, his whole right arm was reduced to just like a little nub that sort of flopped around. And the dude
So
had
kind of
like
like Def Leppard.
yes, except not drummer, guitar player,
Right.
and doing a little bit of singing. And it was a 3-piece band, him and a bass player and a drummer.
So do you just like hammer on the frets?
Yes, hammer and slide. That's all I did. For those who can't see the visual, that's kind of what it sounded like. But yeah, hammer-ons and pull-offs and slides was the entire. But he did such a wide variety of that he was able to make complete
No, I could totally
songs.
see that.
You know, and slow it down and speed it up, and the rest of the band went right along with it. But everybody that was paying attention to this band was just watching the little fucking nub float around as he like headbanged and like moved around with the guitar, because it gave it an extra bit of flavor, you know.
That'll do
it. It really did, and it's like you don't see that every fucking day. That's an amazing thing to see a one-armed fucking guitar player in a three-piece band playing a fucking show. You know, this one of these outdoor festival type things. It was like 3 nights, and it was in Montana at some campground somewhere.
Hey, you guys remember the movie Deliverance? That inbred kid? That was badass.
Dude, I drove around like a part of New Hampshire recently that, oddly enough, was on the magic rectangle on the maps thing. But like I felt like I was hearing the banjo playing, right? I'm like, where the fuck am I? How does this exist on like the map interface? But yet, like, I'm driving on like stone gravel road that's like you can't fit more than one car on. Like if another car, one of us would have to back up far enough to find a place to like move and let the other guy back.
How have you mapped this place?
This is mapped out, but then it spits you out on the other side and you're back on like regular roads again. There was even a point, like this is when I got worried, when I saw a sign that said road ends ahead, and I was like, where the fuck am I? And yet the thing was just like, you know, in a half mile turn right onto blah blah road, and I'm like, okay, you know. And I was like, man, I think like, you know,
I hope my magic rectangle is more correct than what I think
I
that
hope I'm
sign
not about
just
to
told
like,
me.
you know, drive off the falls or something, or into a river or whatever,
Can I give
right?
you boys a little advice? Don't never depend on the magic rectangle.
Well, of course not. So anyway, it turns out
Get
that
a map. No, don't end up in Hazard County, Kentucky.
Boss Hogg might get a hold of you.
Right?
By God, he will, and you be squealing like a pig.
Him and them Duke boys. Roscoe P. Coltrane. Anyone? No, I'm old. Okay.
No, I got it. I got it.
So at any rate, it did end up spitting me out. But like, I was just like, where the hell am I going, man? What the fuck's going on with? I call her Karen, the maps lady.
Because she tells you what to do.
I call her Karen, yeah, because she's a bit of a Karen. She's like, you know, and if you screw up,
ordering people around.
If you screw up, she changes her mind. She's like, go right over here and go left, you know, and tries to take you in a weird circle to get you back to where you were.
Well, at least she doesn't change her mind unless you screw up.
Karen, that's only a couple of letters away from carry-on, which is roadkill.
Like, carry on, my wayward son?
No, I'm carrying. Roadkill. You might be left on the side of the road, which you do not want to go down, because you don't know a fucking thing.
I don't know a
Never
fucking
get
thing.
Lost.
Oh, okay.
Carry a compass. Fuck YouTube. Fuck the phone. Carry a map. Know where the hell you're going.
I feel like Major really has something to say tonight.
Yeah,
he seems to be.
He's stirred up.
I'm the fucking real deal. I know north and south.
Apparently, he has had enough of people relying on GPS services.
Yeah, well, and how many times did you get lost in my dam?
So I actually was just starting Cabby like when the whole GPS reliance started up, and so I managed to like use both the map for a while and then the GPS. Now the worst thing about the GPS was that I have played entirely too much Grand Theft Auto. So as soon as I suddenly have a mini map in my field of view, like it triggers all of those old memories of, you know, like plowing down the hookers on the sidewalks.
Hey, you fiddle fuck yourself.
Like, wait,
GTA.
I don't think this is making me drive proper.
You fiddle fuck yourself. There you did.
I had the same reaction to Grand Theft Auto as I did to like heavy metal music. I'm like, oh, this looks fun, right? Like I didn't think it was it's dangerous for children to play. It's like, really? It's a fucking video game. You can't teach your children the difference between reality and a fucking video game. Like, come on. You know, video games are supposed to be for all the things that like you couldn't do, but like you imagine. You know, people are capable of great imagination.
They
So
don't realize this shit.
Well,
They're
I
not
mean,
they have not been dipped in life, the crop of reality. By God, I've been stoned. I'm an old fucking soul. You know this shit. You know, motherfucker, I ain't lying.
so I got to tell you, Major, when I moved to New Hampshire, I was completely fucking reliant on a GPS system. Like, there is no way to find anything in these old New England towns without, I mean, like, you could get a map and spend a tremendous amount of time studying it. Or you could go beep boop.
check it
Well,
out.
that's because you just moved there. I've been in my state my whole life. I've got topographical maps. I got fire road maps. I know where every logging trail, every old rail bed was laid. You got to do the research. And the assholes that fucking control the shit, they don't want you to know this, so you got to dig deep. And you got to have a fucking sharp shovel.
A sharp shovel.
Yeah, you lost me with that one.
Well,
Well, you got to dig deeper than you think you need to.
can't really have a dull shovel, you know, and expect it to be effective. So, you know, there's some point there. I'm trying to do a thing here, and it looks like, I don't know, nobody, can you hear us?
Nobody's here.
Nobody is here, and nobody
Nobody's
we can
here.
hear you as well. I think
Groovy.
we did a thing.
Near me. Can you feel me near you?
Nobody, can you feel the Major near you?
Luckily, no.
Well, don't let Killdozer get up on you.
Don't let Killdozer get up on you.
Nah, ain't
Always
nobody got
good
time
advice.
for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody's got time for that.
Killdozers are for governments, not for people.
That's true.
Well, you know, you raise a very good point.
And so far, I've yet to see nobody elected.
It's
In a
true.
place rock
Yeah.
fully one
And
more.
unfortunate.
It is unfortunate because when nobody wins the election, everybody wins the election.
That's true.
Also, another good point.
It's true.
I see you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt there, nobody. It's a,
I am.
That's it.
I am.
that's
I'm
belly
in
belly
my boogie
cam.
suit.
We've got belly cam
Are
going
you
on.
preparing for the big luau?
Yes. I'm, and I'm considering spending the winter in a big igloo.
I've heard
How
that
the hell do you have a pineapple in an igloo?
you're going to do what, Major?
Well, he's talking like he's in Hawaii, but he wants to be in an igloo. Be fun.
Well,
I mean, maybe he does want to be in an igloo in Hawaii. If he could pull that off, more power to him.
fuck Hawaii. Fuck Hawaii. That's like the
That's
most
a fair point.
communist state in America. Fuck that.
Well,
Ain't
it
nobody
shouldn't be
got
a state in
time
America
for
anyway.
that.
Like, you know, it was minding its own business, being a monarchy, and America's like, yoink.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, we never should have jacked it. I guess it serves us right to be saddled with a bunch of fucking communists.
Yeah, I think there was some
'cause,
clever
you know,
fruit
we
company
should've stole
that,
their
like,
country.
yeah, I think there was some clever fruit company that, like, said, help me, but at the same time had also, like, purchased the place, so had literally taken over. So they come in to, you know, save an American from a foreign power, and he's like, well, I am the foreign power, and I surrender to America, which apparently was just what they needed to make the place a state.
Yeah, see, that's one of the.
No. Now you're talking about the Irish and the pineapple.
Major,
company.
everything comes back to the
you're-
Irish.
Yeah, you've
No,
got
no,
entirely
no.
too much Irish in you at this point.
Well, I'm black.
Sounds like
Irish.
maybe some
Oh.
scotch, too.
Yeah.
No, there's no scotch in me.
Bourbon?
No scotch in me.
Bourbon?
I tell
How about
you my
bourbon?
cousin, I'm Austrian.
But are you bourbon?
I learned from the Germans. Okay? Black Irish. I'm three
Oh,
clans.
that's right. That's
Never
right.
been.
Oh.
And Welch.
It's all starting to come back to us now.
There's never
Mm.
been.
Welch, like the grape juice?
Defeated. I am the most ornery cocksucker you're ever gonna fucking meet.
I believe that.
And I will give you hell till the day I die.
That's
Do you know the Moonshine song? Oh moonshine, oh how I love thee. You killed my old daddy and now you try me. I'll eat when I'm hungry and drink when I'm dry. And the moonshine don't kill me, I'll live till I die.
hey.
Now, if the river was whiskey, I'd be a diving duck. I'd swim to the bottom and drink my way up.
All right. Hey, Major, we got to do a thing, so we'll talk to you a bit later, man.
There's a thing?
Yeah, there's a thing. Well,
Quick, somebody
it's called,
panic.
it's called a show. What do we got to do?
Oh,
Figured we'd get on with it. I don't think we've even mentioned what the hell this show is. It's Beard Talk Live.
True.
We're in like
it is Beard Talk Live. Did you do the intro music?
I did, but I did a
He
little
did brand new intro
different,
music.
little different song.
Because he was trying to launch himself off on a story here about how he spent some time, relaxing on a beach in a vacation destination.
No, I went
No?
to a rock show, a heavy metal rock show, at a 200-person venue in Manchester. This band called Scissor Fight.
Scissor fuck?
Scissor Fight. Although people are like, "Do you mean like the lesbians?" And I'm like, "Well, lesbians do the scissoring. They don't. Maybe they do scissor fighting before they do the.
They
scissoring.
do the
I don't
scissor
know.
fuck.
That's true. But I like
That's
scissor
just
fight
factual.
to me is
you
just
can
like
look it up.
to me, scissor fight evokes the image of like two 8-year-old boys, each with a pair of the dull tipped scissors that you got in 5th grade or whatever, and they're trying to have a sword fight with the scissors.
I just think of your Sharks versus the Jet style knife fight.
Yeah,
Only lots of snipping
Sharks
involved.
versus the Jet.
Because when you're a jet all the way. From
It's
your first
true.
cigarette to the last dying day.
Some kind of Broadway show.
It is.
Oh.
I feel pretty.
Hey, I'd like to-
guilty.
Pretty.
I'd like
I
to
feel
interrupt
pretty
your normally
and witty
scheduled
and
Beard Talk
gay.
Live here.
If nobody
You
lets
guys
you,
are going to
I
be
don't
going on LRN and the FTL audio streams in about 10 seconds. So if you want to pull up the server audio there, Captain, I'd appreciate it.
This one?
Wait, what's happening in 10 seconds?
No, that's the wrong one. This one?
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our
that what
FTL
we're
social
supposed to do?
I don't
mastodon
want
at
to stick it to a man. I want to stick it to a
socialfreetalklive.com.
woman.
At least I get to talk over the intro.
Beard Talk
That's
Live.
nice.
It's Beard Talk Live, yeah.
Yeah, I had to speak over his views. I feel dirty.
So you're going to have the audio listeners are going to be on board here for the next maximum 3 hours. You
Yep.
can still end the show whenever you want to.
Okay.
We're doing some testing of what will be it's a sneak peek, I guess you could say, for what is likely going to happen in Free Talk Live Land in 2023. So
Beta testing.
January 1st, we're going to get rid of 2 breaks an hour. So 8 more minutes per hour of talk time over a 3-hour
We
show.
can say a lot in 8 minutes.
That's another 24 minutes per show, basically. So lots more talk time coming soon. That's what's going to happen here. So we're testing those automation logs tonight.
I say beta test because we're going to beta test.
Beta test?
Beta test instead of beta. Right? So like some of the British say beta testing. And I'm like,
So not a beta test?
Not a
Because they
beta.
will come for your guns.
No, not a beta. Not a Play-Doh test either. This isn't, clay. I guess Play-Doh technically isn't clay either, but,
And now I can think of nothing but MTV-style claymation.
You can make it with Play-Doh. I remember growing up, I knew
deathmatch.
I knew a kid who did his own stop action with clay figures.
Oh, dear
And so he would
God.
stage these elaborate dioramas basically of an environment hills and trees and whatever, and then he did a Cowboys and Indians one, and he would just move them and then take a photo, move them, take a photo, move them, take a photo, and repeat this process for days, weeks. And then eventually he'd have enough of this to put a film
One
together.
whole second.
One frame at a time.
Yeah, no, seriously, like days of work. One whole second.
Yeah. Nobody, how the fuck are you?
I'm fucking groovy.
Fucking A. Your beard's looking, well, beardly.
Thank you. I'm feeling very beardly.
I heard a tale. I didn't get to listen to the full show from last week, the Beard Talk Live that y'all did. But I'm under the understanding that I should go watch the video because Peakless let his beard
I
down.
let it all out, man.
Because one of the, even the way your beard is, it's, it's a beard, right? And a pretty distinct one at that. Nobody's going to mistake it for anything else. But I don't think I've ever seen your beard in non-braided format.
It is a rarity, but I had to cover for you, man. Have you seen Zephin's beard? He's got goatee level beardage going on, and
he reduced his. So you need to increase the beard quotient.
He's
Quotient?
never had a huge amount.
No, but it went all the way around. It was full beard style.
Yeah,
but not goatee style.
But yeah, it's that same length though.
Yeah.
So I had to make up for your Billy Goat scruff there.
That's what I'm saying. You had to
being
increase
completely absent.
Increase
So
the beard quotient.
Exactly.
So we can live up to the most bearded Liberty show online.
That's right.
Little tiny tag underneath our sweet logo. It is tiny too. The most bearded. We're trying to keep it a secret somehow.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. But it's the most bearded Liberty show online. It could only be worse if we put it in parentheses. That would have been. Yeah.
As long as it's not 3 parentheses.
So anyway, nobody. I went and saw this band, Scissor Fight. The song that we played at the intro for the show is one called Granite State Destroyer. They themselves are a band from New Hampshire, and the song lyrics start out and they go, "Weed, guns, and axes. We don't pay our taxes because we don't exist on any government list."
Must be nice.
Yeah.
I'm on all the government lists.
Right. So yeah, I went to a rock show and it was pretty great. I enjoyed their music, and that song just sort of stuck in my mind. The chorus of it is our battle cry: live free or die. Right, because they're from New Hampshire, so it's a very New Hampshire sort of hometown fight song, if you will.
Yeah, it sounds very New Hampshire-y.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I appreciated that. I also got to give goldbacks to each of the members of the bands that played. There were 3 different bands. And I gave them, some sort of a spiel about hey, look, man, I used to play in bands all the time, 20-some years, but, rarely did we ever get paid. And when we did get paid, it wasn't near enough. But I could tell you that I never got paid in gold, but today you are. And then I would hand them a gold back, what's this? I'm well, read it. And 1/1000th an ounce of it. Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. The overwhelming response. Nobody was oh, no, thanks. I don't want that, man.
Right?
To a person, everybody was holy shit, fucking, that's awesome, dude. Fuck yeah. Nobody's ever given us anything like this before.
Well, those rockers, they love metal.
Yeah. And I just figured, if these guys are,
And gold is the heaviest metal there is. Almost.
It's the heaviest metal I handle.
Well, I mean, maybe you guys should listen to more Slayer.
I've had platinum a couple of times, which is slightly heavier.
Oh my God, what the fuck's going on? Beard Talk Live. Who the fuck is this?
Hi, this is Riley calling from Utah.
Riley?
Hey.
What the fuck, dude?
How you doing, Riley?
So first and foremost, thank you. You're awesome.
It's
Oh,
true.
you're welcome.
I appreciate the digesting of the shit.
Right?
Are you talking to your gut
That
bacteria?
doesn't sound good.
Riley, what the fuck's on your mind?
Well, you guys were talking about goldbacks, and I work for a company in Utah, and I had the opportunity to show off some goldbacks to a coworker. He was really excited. He was fucking excited about that shit.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm excited to have gold backs in my possession because I can carry gold easier, and no one's going to mistake it for gold. They're going to think it's just some paper or something. So,
Right, like, oh, it's a golden ticket. Oh, he entered a raffle or something. Right? Nobody really kind of knows what they are yet.
Yeah, it's wild that like you actually have this thing. It is so unusual that you would actually have this wrapper of literal gold in your pocket. They can't process it as what it is, which is just
exactly. Right. And the other thing, the only problem I have with gold backs is it's hard for a blind person to tell the difference between a 1 or a 10 or a 50 or whatever. And I don't know how they can improve that, but it would be nice if they could improve that.
Well, I mean, the size is different.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that.
So I mean,
if there's a criticism that I have, it's that the sizes are weird, right? Like I think I personally would have expected them to all be the same size. I understand that because they weigh different, they would have to be much thicker than the other ones, and that probably played. It's the physics. You just can't have that much gold in that small of a space. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they have the product. Now, they probably could have done something to maybe make them all the large size, but then that would be like...
Well,
that would be like the grandparent's cell phone, the remote control, the giant fucking buttons and shit. Nobody wants to hand that around.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure that they made that as big as they could. Like, that's why I think it is the size that it is they're like, okay, this is as wide as we can reasonably spread 1/1000th of an ounce of gold.
Yeah.
So they can't make it the $25 size.
Well, no, they could by just adding more filler, right?
Oh, just adding more plastic
on the edge? You could make the 1 as big as the 50 just by, adding more filler to it, right? But what you can't do is make the 50 the size of the 1 without increasing the thickness of it to at least that of cardboard or a debit card or something like that. Unflexible is my guess, right? So I like the 1s, and I'm okay with the 5s. Those fit pretty easily into a regular wallet. You can't fold them very well, but who needs to, right?
So with filler, you mean just like having plastic that doesn't have gold on the other side of it?
Yeah. Put like a frame around it.
Yeah, fair.
It'd be easy enough to contain or spread the gold out more evenly across a larger area, and then I don't know.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure that they figured out the maximum area that they can reliably put 1/1000th of an ounce across without it coming off, without it flaking, without it,
And that's where the size of the 1 comes from.
Yeah, that's what I'm betting.
And then the other ones are bigger because obviously you add more material, and then we have to make it this much bigger and this much wider to compensate for the amount of material that we're putting in it. They're so beautiful though. I love the goldbacks. They're
they sound beautiful. They sound like they're really beautiful to see.
Yeah, it's a shame that the minor indentation isn't enough for you to feel, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they're certainly one of the most useful things I've ever seen in my life, right? Like the downside of gold prior to the goldbacks was, of course, portability. You're going to carry around a brick of gold.
That's why you needed silver.
This is given the average commoner the ability to carry gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The king's currency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a physical hard money that you can actually hand from one person to another. The thing that cryptocurrency, of course, is missing is the physicality. It doesn't exist in the physical world.
Well, and the thing is, banks still hand actual physical gold to other banks. Like, in terms of final settlements, this is still used by banks. It's just that, individuals never had this unless they were going to buy property.
Right.
Because, the amount of gold you need for anything, a tiny amount of gold goes a very long way. So most purchases were always done in silver, just because it's easier to make silver than it is to make gold.
Yeah.
Riley, anything else?
Well, I've also been exploring cannabis, and it's been a nice experience.
Nice. Indica or sativa?
I can appreciate both, actually.
Yeah, me too. Do you have a preference?
Yeah. It depends on my mood. Sometimes I like a good sativa. Sometimes I like a good indica. It just depends on my mood.
If given two exactly identical options, I would go indica. Just something about Indicouch, right? I just remember that.
Yeah.
That would be my preference.
Yeah, that goes according to purpose. Because like if I'm trying to sleep, well, I mean at this point edibles are a far better option. But like if I'm trying to think, then I'd want sativa.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Riley does the digest version of Free Talk Live, the show that this show is a fork of. And so, Riley, I just want to say you've been doing a kick-ass job. Thank you for your work.
Oh, thank you.
I certainly have used the digest over the years, particularly for a time-saving device.
Same, extensively.
Yeah, for sure.
So not everybody has 3 full hours a day to listen, and so it's a great way to stay sort of caught up, at least on the main points. You've done a kick-ass job.
That was a great one for me because I could just go, listen to a week's worth of, and when an episode is like, ooh, I really want to hear more about this topic, plug in that one.
Riley, I'm going to bring another caller on, but thanks for calling, man. Peace.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Beard Talk Live. Who the fuck is this?
This is Jack from Ocean Shores.
Jack from Ocean Shores.
I actually went on a fucking boycott of the show when nobody wasn't on for too long. Just being honest. Fucking do that for you.
Of which show?
Right?
Of which show? Beard Talk Live? Nobody's always on Beard Talk Live, or at least he has been.
Free Talk Live.
Oh, on Free Talk Live.
He hasn't been on Free Talk Live, and he wasn't on last episode, Saturday's episode.
Well, for most of that, it was the state that kept him off of Free Talk Live.
No, he said weeks ago. So nobody. I thought you were on last week.
I was not on Free Talk Live last week.
No, but you were on Beard Talk Live, right?
I was on Beard Talk Live last week.
All right. So I was pretty sure I heard your voice.
Yeah.
I was like, well, some guy sounds like nobody was on.
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you. What are you saying? Are you saying words?
Oh. Yeah, dude. Why are you picking on me?
We were just casually bantering.
Why is everybody always picking on me?
What were you calling about, Jack? Oh, he hung up. We got hung up on. Jack from Ocean Shores hung up on us.
Motherfucker.
All right. Beard Talk Live. Who the fuck is this?
Yeah, I am the one your mother warned you about.
And it has come full circle. Oh, you've made the peakless one leave. Look, he's gotten up and left the room in disgust.
I take you off speaker. Definitely I sound better. Which is curious to me, because I called into a buddy of mine that I talk to all the time.
Yeah.
And I talked to him on speaker, and he says I sound better when I'm on speaker than when I'm off speaker.
Yeah, but not when you're on Free Talk Live.
No, I'm just saying the difference between the regular system and the radio system. It's kind of befuddling.
It's the goddamn government, man.
Things I cannot ascertain, an intelligent answer to. There you go, buddy. You know I love you. All you bastards.
Are you talking to your dog? Are you talking to me or nobody?
Yeah, I
there you go, little buddy.
Y'all, my dog just lifted her ear when you said that. So, yeah. The circle is continual, and we are all interconnected. I mean, I don't even know what led me to this thought. That's what you just fucking said, Kevin.
What did I say?
If you want me to reiterate, I cannot do that.
I don't think you can either. Maybe a couple of cocktails ago you could have reiterated, but
am I supposed to ascertain your fucking thoughts? My fucking thoughts?
I'll share my thoughts, but on what subject? I don't know what we're talking about yet.
I don't know. You just said something that sparked my something, and it got lost in the moonlight.
All right.
You know what I mean? Anyway.
Nobody knows what you mean.
Nobody? Do you know what he means?
I have no idea.
Nobody has no idea what Major
The other one
means.
does, though.
The other
Oh
nobody?
my!
The other nobody knows what.
Killdozers enforced. All right. So what the hell were we talking about before we stopped talking about nothing?
I don't know,
but I really like the phrase "killdozers."
Yeah, Major, just stay right there. Don't go away. Hang on. Beard Talk Live. Who the fuck is this?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Is that Robert?
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Is that Rob doing an impression of Major Payne?
Yeah, for a second it did sound like Rob doing an impression of Major Payne.
Rob, speak so I can make sure you have level.
Oh, hey. Well, hey, anyways, the reason why I called was...
Dude, are you on speakerphone again?
No.
Oh.
No.
All
How do I sound?
Yeah.
I'm okay?
Go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
you're all right now.
Go
It
ahead.
was for just a half second. It was like 10 decibels higher. So
It peaked for a second. Maybe you bumped your phone or something.
Well, I went, I had it on speakerphone when I was calling, but I wasn't thinking I was going to come on this quick.
Yeah.
But
Well, here you are.
here I am.
Yeah. How the fuck are you?
So, well, I mean, as far as I know, no one hasn't invoked the coronavirus on me. And I haven't been shut.
Is that,
Nobody has.
is that what
taken a
coronavirus
shot.
is now? It's like a witchcraft spell that people are like casting. It's
it's-
voodoo.
always has been.
Yep, and nobody hasn't taken a shot at
Nobody. You haven't taken a shot at Rob yet?
I haven't taken a shot at him. Was I supposed to shoot Rob?
I think maybe we're supposed to do a shot with Rob. Drink some alcohol.
That sounds far more likely.
Yeah,
I gotta
that's
tell you.
probably more fun.
Right?
I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 2 months.
Oh, well, so much for that.
Congratulations.
No shots for you, nobody. Sorry. I tried to get you some free shots, bro, but apparently
All right.
Rob's on the wagon.
I'm trying to curb my appetite with alcohol. I think I've had enough, and
All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
You know. I did want to tell you that over here in Vermont now, you can buy recreational cannabis now.
Did
It's all
they open it up
legal.
now? Are the stores open though?
Yeah, that's what I understand.
Because I remember thinking that in October a guy's going to be able to drive across from New Hampshire into Vermont and get the recreational, much like they already can do in Massachusetts and Maine, all the surrounding states of New Hampshire, except for New Hampshire.
Yeah, there's at least 6 or 7 stores throughout the whole state. The one that's in
6
Brattleboro
or
is called
7.
the
When I lived in Seattle, there was
Blood
like
Farm.
6 or 7 recreational stores within like a 5-block radius.
I know, right?
Well, there's only 500,000 people living in
I know.
Vermont.
I know, but you would think more of them would smoke weed.
Well-
Seriously, especially Vermont people. I mean, they're hippies with guns.
Yeah. They haven't taken our fucking guns yet, the son of a bitches.
They're trying.
It's not like they've been trying, but
Yeah.
Well, they can try, but they'll have to take them right from our cold, dead hands.
Yeah, pretty much.
what were you calling about, Rob?
Well, like I said, I was calling about that, and I wanted to put a request in because I know that you have different songs that, well, you've been trying out with the opening show. But a requested song I would like to hear is We Are the Road Crew by Motorhead.
I'll consider that. I don't know that Beard Talk Live is a request show necessarily, but because the song you suggested doesn't suck, I'll consider it. But right now, the musical variety is judged and based solely on me and my vast musical expertise.
Yeah, but still.
I put hours.
I won't go against Lemmy.
I put hours of research into this, 2.5 months ago, and I just decided that it can be whatever I want.
Yeah. Hey, did you know that Lemmy was a World War I and World War II historian?
I did actually, yeah. He had a bunch of artifacts too. He was a collector.
He was a collector of different swords and stuff like that. It was incredible. The apartment that he had in
LA?
near the Rainbow there in LA is just jam-packed full with swords and knives and axes and guns,
Who was this?
Incredible.
Lemmy from Motorhead. Bass player, singer.
Nice.
Yeah. Legendary rock and roll dude. So I was going to say something about Motorhead. Now I can't remember. Oh, they have a song called, it's a very obscure track called March or Die. And it's, I might consider that one before the Road Crew for this particular show. But just because it talks about the education systems broke to hide our guilt, we build more jails and we shall build still more. Something like that. It's a very libertarian, anarchist, relevant lyrical content.
I don't know how I feel about outro music on this show.
A quick tip, you have the option to just talk right on over it because your video feed will continue with whatever is hot on the board. So you just want to pull the break down. You can ignore the break and continue if you would like.
Or we could take the break.
We can take the break.
Take the break.
We'll be back. Beard Talk Live.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow with the Week in Review. NATO defence ministers have reiterated their commitment to supporting Ukraine. Allies announced deliveries of air defence systems and specialist equipment to help Ukraine's forces get through the winter. South Korea has imposed its first unilateral sanctions against North Korea in 5 years in response to ongoing missile tests. This move came after Pyongyang fired another missile into the Sea of Japan on Friday morning. Chris Gilbert reports.
Seoul says North Korea's ongoing missile tests are destabilizing peace in the region. It's blacklisting more than 30 people and institutions involved in the missile launches. It's also condemning Pyongyang for flying 10 aircraft towards the border between the two countries on Thursday, triggering an automatic deployment of South Korean fighter jets. Seoul says the move violated a pact that bans hostile acts in the border area. North Korea's latest launch on Friday morning flew 650 kilometers before landing in the ocean short of Japanese territory. Pyongyang says that was a response to 10 hours of artillery fire by South Korea.
The committee investigating the January 6th attack on the US Capitol has voted to subpoena former President Donald Trump. The committee says it has enough evidence to push for criminal charges against multiple individuals relating to the attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
In what's expected to be the final January the 6th hearing, the committee laid out how Donald Trump inspired the violence that unfolded on Capitol Hill and how he repeatedly tried to join the crowds at the Capitol, even after they began attacking police officers. The committee's subpoena is a formal summons for Trump to appear in person to testify under oath. However, he's now likely to fight that.
After facing mounting criticism from MPs and slipping opinion polls, the UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has defended her position and her credibility as leader. Truss sacked her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng and U-turned on a decision to cut taxes. Laura Macon-Isherwood has more from London.
On Friday, she recalled her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng from a meeting in the United States and removed him from his post after facing repeated criticism over their mini-budget tax-cutting plans. In a televised address, Liz Truss said she had acted decisively and that she wants to deliver a high-growth economy. Jeremy Hunt, a well-known MP with significant government experience, now becomes the new Chancellor, a man Truss claims shares her ambitions for the country.
And a US jury's penalty for Nicholas Cruz, who was 19 when he returned to a school in Parkland, Florida, that expelled him and opened fire, killing 17 people. From bureaus worldwide, this is FS.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
All right, it's Beard Talk Live. Even though, you were hearing Free Talk Live music, because we're doing some stuff. We're, as the tech companies say, we're innovating. And let me just make sure nobody's still with us. Nobody talk to me, man. Are you talking?
Oh, I am now unmuted.
Oh, there we go. All right. Excellent.
You probably hear me better.
On both sides, no less.
Right. And you've moved your camera, too, so that we're basically looking at your ceiling, which is fine if that's what you want.
Oh, yeah. I actually, it was just lifting up my laptop for a sec.
Oh, okay. Very nice ceiling, by the way. It's looks very monocolored. The camera quality sucks, so we can't really see much of anything.
Do you want to...
I should probably, I'll do the thing. Thank you. If you would like to, you can always reach over here yourself as well and be a sort of a co-engineer of Beard Talk Live. I should probably make sure that is it switching now? Or
well, better be doing things than thinging dues.
Let's see. I believe that's how it's supposed to go. But we'll see. Let me know if that doesn't change.
Will do.
Beard Talk Live. All right, so what were we doing? We were talking to Rob. Rob, are you still with it? Wait, hang on. Let me unmute Rob. Rob, are you there? Rob? Rob going once. All right, I guess Rob's not there. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
Oh, dude, I'm your worst fucking nightmare.
Well, you're at least a recurring one.
I am the one your mother warned you about.
No.
You're a stranger in a van full of candy?
But is he down by the river?
I don't make bait piles. Dude, this is really cool.
There'll be plenty of time for living in a van down by the river.
Should we all
when
talk
you're
like
living in a
Major?
van down by the river?
I am Major Payne.
Hear me out. There was a dude about 5 years ago that put a bait pile of like baby dolls and such right on the corner where there was the projects. He was literally baiting children. And right across from the county park, next to the river.
Was this Joe Biden?
It was scurry. It just the insanity of humanity never ceases to amaze me.
I hear you on that one.
What's that?
I have no idea what that popping is.
Okay.
Well, you were the ones that you talking about. Started me.
Must be the Major's joints. Just
Major's so old, his popping of his joints.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you hear that, Major? Peakless thinks you're old.
Fucking A, I'm old.
You better be at this
I'm
point.
older than your mother. I'm older than your mother. And you know what, dude? I'll tell you what. I just came a great No,
That
not
is
a
too personal of information, Major.
grandpa today.
You became a what?
Yesterday, actually.
What'd you
I
become?
became grandpa yesterday.
How many greats?
One.
Great grandpa.
Grandpa's good enough. Great grandpa. What?
Why do you think they arose? That's not a word. Why do you think they did arrive at the term great grandfather? Because instead of like, much older grandfather or something that great, like it's like Great Britain. It's like, is it really great?
Well, I think they arrived at that term because they had. So there's father, and then there's grandfather, and they wanted another word besides grand that was still like grand. So great grand. And like you never lived past that point, so they never came up with a third word.
But so I mean, the people who came up with this term, were they like, you know what? The older grandfather, the father of our father's father, is great. Like, what do you think he was an outstanding dude, and that's why they were like great grandfather instead of regular grandfather who probably wasn't so great. Probably a mediocre grandfather, but great grandfather was a much cooler dude.
Well, I'd say that.
Overthinking this shit.
Well,
I'd say that the reverence for elders thing is kind of a universal trait.
Reverence for elders? Is that like a charity organization?
So whether or not your grandfather was all that grand, you still talk and think about him in these, superlative terms.
Do you mean instead
the greatest generation for point of reference?
Well, like grandfather could be just like a flamboyant dad. He's a grandfather, right?
Captain, much like you, I was a bastard.
Well, I kind of still am.
There's shit that just goes on.
Yeah, what do you mean was there?
More than one way, really. Like.
And we can't fucking quite.
So apparently the Major dug up his mother and married her to someone else so that he could stop being a bastard.
My grandmother, during the Roaring 20s, my last name should have been DeWolf.
Like the Power Tools?
No.
Not DeWalt, DeWolf.
Oh.
No, not DeWolf. No, dude. DeWolf is, it's from the Austrian Highlands, Germany. And
Yeah, I believe the American English translation would be The Wolf.
There's another portion of my bloodline that comes from the Welsh, which is the only piece of England that was never defeated.
Right, grape juice. We talked about this already.
The other piece of my bloodline comes from the Black Irish, and that is the ones that the Saxons never got a hold of.
Is that where the Irish Stout comes
There's
from?
no fucking red-headed Irishman.
He's got a point.
Black Irish.
Are you not red-headed, Peakless One?
I am.
Are you not
and
Irish?
I got it from the original source.
Are you not Irish?
I actually, I'm not Irish. I am Scots-Irish.
Scottish?
On one side, anyway.
Are you talking like Sean Connery?
But neither of those is where I get the red beard. So I come by the red beard from the same place as the Irish got it, the Norse.
Hey, the Viking Saxons.
Yeah, no, so Thor is not a fucking blonde, okay? Not a blonde.
Uh-oh.
Thor, not a blonde.
We've
like,
touched on a
literally,
sore topic.
if you
He's
find
upset about
something where you're like, oh, in this
He's
old
a little
poem,
sore about
it says
Thor.
the redhead.
You've got
the
Thor
guy with the
sores.
red beard. That's Thor. Like, in the same way, like, oh, you know that guy that you crucified? Oh, Jesus? The famous crucified guy? Yeah.
Oh, dude.
In the same way, you know the guy with the red beard? Thor.
I saw Jesus chug a beer last night.
Hey, you know what, boys? If you know anything at all, if you look at a man's eyes, I can read where the fuck you came from.
All right. Major, stay right there. Major is apparently some sort of a seer, an oracle of sorts. But like literally, I'm at this rock show last night, and it's New Hampshire, and it's fall, so everybody looks like they're Seattle grunge, like lots of flannel and hoodies and stuff. But more so than a Seattle show, there's less like hipster looking people, right? Who have like, the really freshly trimmed beard, all freshly oiled and shit. And it's more like scruffy dudes who are like construction workers and, like it's a little more manly, a little more tough. Everybody's got a beard. Everybody. Not everybody, but like.
Same amount of facial hair, different amount of beard oil.
I was amazed at the amount of beard at this particular show. So needless to say, there's a guy who looks just like the classic fucking photo of Jesus, that side profile, the long hair and the beard, that side profile of Jesus that you're familiar with, like the hands praying and all that kind of shit. Looked just like that guy. And I looked over and all I could see was like from his shoulders up because of the way the crowd was standing around him. And I just seen him take it. It was a full plastic cup of beer and he just chugged the whole goddamn thing. Like while the band was on, and then he crushed the cup and turned and walked away. And I never saw the guy again the whole evening. But I saw Jesus chug a beer, man. That's all I'm saying. Nobody, you got a bit of a Jesus vibe going on.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, except for the miracles.
Yeah, I'd like to find out how to do that.
Well, hey, if it makes you feel better, you haven't had as bad of a run-in with the cops.
Well, they haven't nailed me to anything.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one thing people don't like. Christians don't really think about it that way, but the Romans are the cops.
Yeah, totally.
Like 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, like the what do they call it? The Christian anarchists, right? They like to point to that.
Yeah.
And they're right.
Yeah.
Also, they like to point to, and I'm in total agreement, the flipping of the tables, right? That whole scene, that was bankers, the money changers, the exchanges, right? The money changers is where he got upset and like went on a table flipping fucking rampage, supposedly.
Well, and the thing was, they were cheating people. And he's like, you're not going to use good as a method of cheating people.
And yet they do.
Well, that's because no one else wants to flip the tables with us.
How many politicians in the United States of America do you think identify as Christian? A large percentage?
Identify as?
Yeah.
Nearly
at
100%.
Least 3 times the number of Christians.
Very nearly 100% of them identify as Christian.
Yeah.
We have to this day never had a non-Christian president.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that particular statistic.
Oh, yeah.
And I imagine.
I think we've only had 2 Catholics.
Yeah.
Wow.
If Biden counts as a Catholic. Because he has been disowned by his church. Yeah, Kennedy's the other one. Yeah.
Okay, that's one of the few sensible things I've heard of churches doing. So
right?
That's a good thing. Yeah, he should definitely be disowned by more people.
It's true. I mean, I hate to agree with the Catholic Church on anything, really. But,
What do you think the percentages are for not the United States, all the other countries? Like as far as the ones that have some sort of rotating cast of characters sitting in the throne of evil?
Well, it's probably lower in Israel.
Yeah.
I guess you've got
guarantee you every single politician in Israel is officially Jewish.
But I mean, there's approximately 200 countries.
I definitely guarantee you that everything of every Muslim country is a Muslim. Like every position in government of every Muslim country, I guarantee is a Muslim.
I don't know that that's the case. I think that Iraq may well have some Kurds in their government, and Kurds in general are not Muslim, I believe.
What about Way?
Really?
Do they have Kurds and Way in the government?
No way.
Sorry, I got cheese curds on my mind.
Yeah, that was cheesy.
If you've never had cheese curds, I recommend them. They're just little chunks. They call them squeaky cheese because if they're made right, if you get them at their peak, they kind of squeak a little bit as you bite down on them. Squeaky cheese.
I do love a cheese
Got
curd.
the Wisconsin folklore going on.
Oh, yeah, don't you know, dare hey? Got a few of those.
What is a dare hey?
It's just like I don't know. It's this weird segue, right? Like it's kind of like when you do CB radio, and you're like, "This is Captain Topeklis. This is Captain Topeklis. Over." And it's like waiting. It's like you've passed the turn in the conversation. Dare hey?
I see. So it's over, but in
Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin instead of CB.
It could also be Roger. But if it's Roger, it's like, oh yeah, dare hey.
How does that compare with Don't You Know?
Don't you know is it's more like what it means really is you should know. Right? It's like, oh, you should have used your left turn signal, don't you know? Right?
I see.
You should have thought about charging your phone before you left the house, don't you know?
Yeah, because I thought that was another one of those like over, like da da da. Don't you know?
Well, if you string them all together, if it's like, oh yeah, don't you know, there, hey, that's just kind
That's
of
too
like
much.
That's a general acknowledgement. That's like I've heard.
So you
your
didn't
story.
say anything at all there.
I've heard your story, and I acknowledge the information you're trying to pass.
Gotcha.
Right? It's like, oh yeah, don't you know, there, hey. But now it's also your turn to speak again because the dare hey kind of gives you the
over. Over.
Oh, all right. Well, Beard Talk Live. Who the fuck is this?
No one.
Oh, it's not nobody because we already have nobody.
It's true.
So it must be no one. It's no one. No
Dare
one is
hey.
there.
Dare
Wait,
hey.
Do I have no?
Weren't you listening? That means it's your turn to speak.
Well, I think we got to hang up on this call. Dare hey.
Oh yeah, don't you
know?
Dropping the call. I think that was where Major used to be. Major Payne. Can you imagine if we walked around talking like that guy all the time? Can you imagine if you're in his regular sphere of influence, right? You know what I mean? And it's like, the clerk at his convenience store, people who see him all the time don't really know who he is, but like, hear that voice, He's got a pretty kick-ass voice. I give him that.
Well, holy buckets.
Yeah. Nobody, what's on your mind?
Oh, not much.
Yeah.
I'm not with it.
You're not with it?
I'm not with it. I've been spending too much damn time in the house.
Yeah, it seems to be going around.
Well, getting stir crazy.
You have plans to fix that somehow?
Hopefully. Biggest thing is I've got I've got beasts I've got to kill.
So it's just some farming going on?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, all right.
But
we were talking earlier on
beasties.
Yeah, we were talking earlier on Free Talk Live. A guy called in who said he's figured out how to make some sort of liquid methane fuel out of everyday animal excrement and pieces of food and
chicken or kitchen scraps.
Kitchen scraps, yeah. And I have had this idea in my head for a really long time that I thought a good name for a band, not necessarily like a metal band, not a serious one anyway, but a good name for a band that wasn't so serious would be Flatulent Swine. I just like those two words together.
Right.
Flatulent Swine. And you could get real creative with the logo. You could have a pig bent over, a little poof of smoke or whatever coming out its ass, after the little squiggly tail, without being too graphic about it either, you know what I mean? The only problem that I'd have with it is if you were going to be a band as Flatulent Swine and you went on stage, you'd almost be encouraging people to go to Taco Bell before the show and be very gassy at the show. You might get yourself wafted out. by flatulent.
Wow.
What do you call the fans?
Wafted out.
Wafted out. Yeah, by fans of flatulent swine. Who would be called what, by the way? I think it's got to be a trendy name for the fans of flatulent swine, right?
Does the name for that have to be trendy? I mean, really?
Or at least appropriate, or inappropriate, I guess. Something fitting, I guess. Right?
Pretty sure appropriate is inappropriate at this point.
So something not appropriate then would be appropriate.
It would have to be
thereby
inappropriate.
confusing
be
the
appropriate.
appropriation.
Oh, by the way, the Kurds are predominantly Sunni Islam.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yep.
okay. I did not know that.
Sunni Islam, does that mean they're happy all the time? They're very cheerful and positive.
No, unfortunately, there is no Sunni Islam.
Well, we should invent it then. Congratulations, you're the new...
Spelled like Sunni, only with a Y instead of an I. We practice Sunni Islam. So, like, all of those
method,
dark
really.
parts are just not part of our religion. La 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 la. Did you know that Muhammad? Not in my version. La la la.
They've got like children's music for their hymns.
Exactly. It's like all Teletubbies all the time. Sunni Islam.
God, Teletubbies were creepy as fuck, man. I'm older than Teletubbies. I remember when they came out. I'm like, what the fuck are these creepy blobs with a little weird shit on their head?
So, do you remember the first time that you noticed that you were resting your phone on your stomach and staring at a screen so that there was a television in your tummy like a fucking Teletubby?
And no, I tend to not do that so much. I hold it at an arm's length because I generally, when I'm laying down, I'm on my side or whatever, right? So I'll hold it out with like one arm or the
How
other
you
arm.
avoid stomach cancer, that.
Oh, yeah, maybe. And maybe I hold it away, too, because of the whole head cancer thing. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that show freaks me out.
Teletubbies?
Absolutely freaks me
Yeah.
out.
Those little fuckers.
Except for
What show
the son that
freaks
is
you out?
also a baby. That part totally makes sense to me.
Nobody, have you seen Teletubbies?
No.
I don't think I've seen a show, but I knew who or what they were because they hit all the news like, oh, the newest sensation. It was kind of like, nobody, you probably remember the
I think
Cabbage
I have
Patch
the power
Kids?
to see an entire show of that.
The thing that I remember about the Teletubbies is the crazy Christians got upset about them because they were like, one of them carried a purse or something.
Yeah, they were supposedly androgynous.
So what it was, because I remember this particular kerfluffle.
Yeah.
What it was is that one of them, so they all had antennae, right?
Yeah.
And one of them, their antenna thing made a downward triangle, and it was the color of the downward triangle gay sign, and also had a purse.
So gay Teletubbies.
Yes.
The Christians were upset about the gay
one
Teletubbies.
of the Teletubbies was clearly gay
Mm.
because his magic pouch
Clearly
was a
gay.
purse. Yeah.
Does it really matter?
And
though,
not the
if
one
you
with the
don't have
dildo on
any
his head. No.
genitalia?
That's a good point, nobody. How can it matter if genitalia isn't there?
Well, as far as I know, there's only one gender of that species.
Right, because that's what I thought the Christians were excited about because they were presented as androgynous with
Or
no sex.
potentially 4 genders. I'm not sure. It's one or the other.
Am I conflating? But like, I kind of like in my mind, I imagine this that like sort of the Teletubbies and like the Care Bears are kind of the same thing. Different colors, right? You know what I mean? There's a
They
formula
both
there.
shoot light out of their stomach.
And there's a formula there too that I think
bright colors.
Right, it's
aimed
the
at children.
What are the martial arts ones in the
Obsessed with rainbows.
with the helmets? They're all in different colored
Power
suits.
Rangers?
Power Rangers, right?
Ah.
Power Rangers, Teletubbies. What was the other one I said? Power Rangers, Teletubbies,
Care
Bears. Same formula.
Care
Right?
Bears, stare.
Get a bunch of like new different things, right? Put them all in each an individual color, right? But yet, and that's also associated with their personality, right? There's a bit of a formula there for these children's programs, is all I'm saying. Pattern recognition.
Well, yeah, I mean, you literally have kids who are just learning colors and what the colors are called. So, like, yeah, having a bunch of flashing colors and, like, very bright primary colors is really interesting to them because colors are new and mind-numbingly boring to us because they're not new to us.
Because we're
familiar with the colors. We even know what they're called.
Most of us do.
All right. Oh, it's time for another break. This one will be 5, 6, 7 minutes.
Okay.
Well,
hold on a sec. I'm gonna join you.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be there in a couple minutes. Peace.
All right.
Generic or name brand? I'm Holland Cook with Inflation Hacks. On a radio interview, I suggested comparing the ingredients in generic over-the-counter meds with name brand pills. And we got a call from a pharmacist who said that some generics might not work as well as name brand pills because of inactive ingredients you won't see listed on the packages. For seasonal hay fever, I myself came back to Sudafed after the store brand with the same active ingredient wasn't as effective. Dr. Roy Blackburn was listening, and he writes, the meds which are probably most important not to buy generically are cardiac meds and thyroid meds. Otherwise, it is worth a try to use generics. Thanks, Doc. How are you coping? Post your inflation hacks at andyoucanquoteme.com.
Have you had enough of the big-name web hosting services that are long on promises but short on bleeding-edge features, uptime, and customer service? Try Agorist Hosting, the agile web host that offers full concierge service from website redesign, full e-commerce solutions, custom apps for your Shopify store, IPFS integration, and more. Agorist Hosting is ready to take your web presence into the future. To get started, head over to agoristhosting.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow with the Week in Review. NATO defence ministers have reiterated their commitment to supporting Ukraine. Allies announced deliveries of air defence systems and specialist equipment to help Ukraine's forces get through the winter. South Korea has imposed its first unilateral sanctions against North Korea in 5 years, in response to ongoing missile tests. This move came after Pyongyang fired another missile into the Sea of Japan on Friday morning. Chris Gilbert reports.
Seoul says North Korea's ongoing missile tests are destabilizing peace in the region. It's blacklisting more than 30 people and institutions involved in the missile launches. It's also condemning Pyongyang for flying 10 aircraft towards the border between the two countries on Thursday, triggering an automatic deployment of South Korean fighter jets. Seoul says the move violated a pact that bans hostile acts in the border area. North Korea's latest launch on Friday morning flew 650 kilometers before landing in the ocean short of Japanese territory. Pyongyang says that was a response to 10 hours of artillery fire by South Korea.
The committee investigating the January 6th attack on the US Capitol has voted to subpoena former President Donald Trump. The committee says it has enough evidence to push for criminal charges against multiple individuals relating to the attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
In what's expected to be the final January the 6th hearing, the committee laid out how Donald Trump inspired the violence that unfolded on Capitol Hill, and how he repeatedly tried to join the crowds at the Capitol, even after they began attacking police officers. The committee's subpoena is a formal summons for Trump to appear in person to testify under oath. However, he's now likely to fight that.
After facing mounting criticism from MPs and slipping opinion polls, the UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has defended her position and her credibility as leader. Truss sacked her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng and U-turned on a decision to cut taxes. Laura Macon-Isherwood has more from London.
On Friday, she recalled her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng from a meeting in the United States and removed him from his post after facing repeated criticism over their mini-budget tax-cutting plans. In a televised address, Liz Truss said she had acted decisively and that she wants to deliver a high-growth economy. Jeremy Hunt, a well-known MP with significant government experience, now becomes the new Chancellor, a man Truss claims shares her ambitions for the country.
And a US jury's recommended life in prison rather than the death penalty for Nicholas Cruz, who was 19 when he returned to a school in Parkland, Florida, that expelled him and opened fire, killing 17 people. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Global wildlife populations have fallen by nearly 70% in less than 50 years. That's according to the latest study by the World Wildlife Fund. Its Living Planet report has assessed 5,000 species of birds, amphibians, reptiles and fish worldwide and mapped how those populations have changed over the decades. They're now calling for immediate action to halt what they call a nature and climate crisis. Tanya Steele is the fund's chief executive.
It is a severe warning that we are facing both a climate and a nature catastrophe, and ultimately it's driven by human activity, which has continued at pace in converting so much of the natural world, whether this has been through construction, but actually largely the way in which we're changing the natural world in terms of converting land for food and for agriculture. Importantly, world leaders have been missing in action despite dire warnings over repeated years, and we need them to step forward and put in place an action plan before it is too late.
She says there is a very, very short window for action, and while conceding that the war in Ukraine and other international developments are siphoning away the attention of many world leaders, she says the evidence of the impacts of climate change themselves speak volumes about the need to give the issue immediate focus. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
FSN is an independent source of news for TV, radio and digital networks worldwide. You can find more of our minute-by-minute updates on Twitter. Follow us there at Feature Story. And we have a wealth of audio and video stories from our global news bureaus on Facebook. You can find us there by following Feature Story News. Stay tuned for further updates right here. But for now, that's the latest Feature Story News. William.
After notifying students that there will be no awesome events happening on campus this weekend, Hamilton College Activity Board Coordinator Jessica Wilson from the class of 2015 spoke to Onion reporters about the disappointingly empty days ahead.
On behalf of the entire Campus Activities Board, I would like to truly apologize for failing to live up to the standards expected of us from everyone on campus. And the fact is, we let the school down.
Wilson said that while the board is usually proficient at booking plenty of cool events for all students to participate in, the upcoming weekend will have no interesting lectures, no wrestling match against Amherst, no acoustic coffee house, and no outdoor movie screening of Silver Linings Playbook.
We tried our best to organize a foam party in Dunham Quad for Friday night, but all the foam machines were rented, and we failed. This falls on us. We realize we don't deserve your trust yet, nor do we expect it, but we'll do everything we can to restore your confidence in us, starting with a comedy hypnotist show on Thursday at Minor Theater. Tickets are $5.
This is the Onion News Network.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
Mustache? No. Sideburns? No. Goatee? Maybe. Beard?
neglected? Not doing too well with the ladies? Well, I've got the solution for you. Low self-esteem? Throw a beer. Afraid to follow your dreams? Throw a beer. Are you lonely and sad? Throw a beer. You wanna look good and plaid? Throw a beer. Are you working out? Throw a beer. Did your car break down? Throw a beer. Ice caps melting? Throw a beer. Are you stuck in the middle of nowhere and you need to make an important phone call but the battery's dead? You can't find an outlet to plug in your charger? Grow a beard. Grow the beard, feed the beard, brush the beard, manscape the beard, stroke the beard, love the beard, fear the beard, obey the beard, obey the beard, obey the beard, behold the beard, obey the beard, accept the beard, obey the beard, respect the beard, obey the beard.
Oh my God. Becky, look at his beard. It's just so beard.
Impress your dates with the beard. Eat a steak with the beard. Chop down trees with the beard. Cross your enemies with the beard. Catch a fish with the beard. Roundhouse kick with the beard. Troll the nets with the beard. Chia pets, beard. Drive a truck with the beard. Try your luck with the beard. Arm wrestle with the beard. Teenage Mutant Ninja beard. Pet the doggy with the beard. Find your allegiance to the beard. Can't grow a beard, then buy a beard. Do you have a beard? Then grow more beard.
You need to shave this thing.
Shut up, Grandma. Grow a beard. Dump in the beard. Drink to the beard, cause beards are good and scruff. Obey the beard. Behold the beard. Obey the beard. Accept the beard. Obey the beard. Respect the beard. Obey the beard. I was so empty and lost inside till I grew you. I put my faith in my facial hair to get me through. Well, I can defy the odds again and again with you on my chin. With every moment you grow closer and closer to my heart. I love you, beard.
If you love it so much, why don't you just marry it?
Do you take this beard to be your lawfully wedded beard? For bearder or for worse, in scruffiness and in beard, till shave do you part? I beard. Abe Lincoln had a beard. ZZ Top, epic beard. Dimebag Darrell, nettle beard. Chuck Norris, kick-ass beard. I'm the one making beard. Chewbacca is a beard. Santa Claus, Jesus Christ, God has a beard. Obey the beard! Obey the beard! Obey the beard! Obey the beard! getting out of here. I got news for you. You are fucked!
Oh, well, I guess we can just halt right there. Beard Talk Live. It is us. We're here, and this is where we are. Thank you for listening and tuning in to episode 9.
Nice.
Dude, how did we end up with 9?
Well,
I mean, that's
there
pretty
was
good,
one,
right?
And then there was another.
Oh, you're such an astute observer of detail. Oops. Didn't want to do that.
Do you prefer the term stick-to-itiveness?
That's kind of a weird term, isn't it? Don't you think?
It is.
Stick-to-itiveness. I mean,
stick-to-itiveness.
It's a good word. Don't get me wrong. But let's see. Tiny Beard Talk Live.
I can't believe it's not
really
butter.
large Beard Talk Live. I'm having fun with rudimentary video elements on screen. I get to say that because I'm a captain. Right?
Make it so.
Somebody I met over the weekend is like, so she didn't ask what's your name. She asked, so what do they call you? Right? Like as if I'm not. What's the opposite of an NPC?
A PC?
A PC.
A player character?
A player character, yes, thank you. And I was like, the captain, because that's, of course, what you say, right? Or what I say. And she goes, well, what are you the captain of? And I go, myself. And she goes, oh. Like, she thought about it for a minute and was like, oh. Like, she got it somehow. Or at least she thought she got it. I have no idea what she actually thought. But that was her reaction to, meeting the captain anyway.
I get it.
Without any after knowledge of, who I am or what I do or, never met me before, kind of a thing.
And this is what happens when we don't use good poetry in, like, high school.
Really? This is what happens?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, at the very least, by the time someone hits high school, they're ready for I am the captain of my soul. Like, honestly, what is the point of having an English class on poetry and not having good poetry?
That's a good question.
And Invictus is, I think, the very best poem. I mean, subjective and I'm biased, but like...
The very best poem?
The very best poem.
I mean, dude, I'm a Dr. Seuss guy. Like, when it comes to this shit, like... No, okay, that's not true. There's... Like, I'm not a very, as far as my poetry experience and knowledge, I'm not a very deep person as far as, like, the depth of, like, poets that I think are fucking kick-ass. But there is one. Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe. I'm trying to remember the band. There was a band who did an album, unbeknownst to me. I had an idea. I was like, because I was reading some Edgar Allan Poe. I think it was Loch Navar, or however you say that. It's one of his. It's a
no idea.
Sweet fucking poem. Anyway, I had riffs running through my like metal riffs, like dun 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 dun, right, kind of a thing. And I was like, I'm gonna make like I don't have to write lyrics. I could just put music to Edgar Allan Poe. Wouldn't that be great? And somebody was like, oh yes,
yeah,
so and so already did that. Oh, it was the Alan Parsons Project. They didn't do metal though. It was rock. Right, but it was
experimental.
Yeah, like 70s pop, experimental rock kind of thing. So it wasn't like rock out or metal. It was sort of this weird, I don't even know, like maybe Electric Light Orchestra, but like lighter than that. Like ELO was a little more rock, I think, than the Alan Parsons Project, but I don't remember.
Yeah, no, honestly, Poe calls for something darker. Like, none of this, nothing that sounds appropriate with a keyboard in it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, no, you need something metal, something like goth, industrial. That is what you need for, like, somewhere in that spectrum is what you need for taking on any work of Poe as the lyrics. Come on.
I just immediately recognized the gift for words. I'm like, there's no way in hell I could put words together in the way that this particular guy is writing what I'm reading in front of me.
Well, and honestly, this is why I'm not a music geek, is that modern music doesn't put any emphasis on the words. Like, the lyrics are secondary at best.
Yeah. Hey, 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 again. Right. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
Fucking Mac Daddy.
Who?
Mac Daddy.
Mac Daddy? Like,
yeah, sure.
Big Mac or Little Mac?
We'll go Big Mac.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Fries or no?
Supersized.
Supersized. All right.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Supersized doesn't exist anymore?
No.
I've obviously not been to.
When's the last time you've heard that?
I've obviously not been to McDonald's in a long time. But
wise decision.
You're right. I haven't heard that in a long time.
Right. But yeah.
Well, telling someone that doesn't have a TV in their house that they haven't heard something in a long time doesn't really, make you Nostradamus, in my opinion.
Oh, I have a TV in my house. I just don't watch TV on it. Like, I watch videos, but I don't watch.
Then do you really have a
on
TV,
it.
or do you have like?
I have a screen. It's attached to a computer. It's true.
Is it more of a monitor?
It is a monitor, yeah, attached to a computer.
Don't bullshit
which I
me.
stream video on very largely.
All right, now streaming video on it, that might make it a TV again. I'm not sure if that makes it go full circle or not.
Yeah. Mac Daddy, before we go on, I just have to get this out of the way because we're already well into tonight's program. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits.
Do you know where that comes from, by the way?
George, you're obviously a first-time listener.
No, not George Carlin. Hold on.
Oh.
He did say that. There is a band, and I'm wanting to know if you remember that band.
Oh. Are you, instead of thinking shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, are you perhaps thinking about shit, fuck, Satan, death, sex, drugs, rape?
No.
Okay, because Anthrax did shit, fuck, Satan, death, sex, drugs, rape. These 7 words they were trying to take. It was sort of a riff, if you will, on that whole
this
bit.
was a mid 2000s hard rock band.
And they said the 7 words?
I think it was. Yes.
Like in a song?
Yes, in a freaking song.
And now I have a song called Bind, Torture, and Kill running through my head. Guess what the lyrics are to that?
Bind, torture, kill? Oh, weird.
Fuckity, fuck.
No, that's South Park. Fuckity, fuck.
Damn it.
Is South Park.
She's the biggest
hang
bitch
on.
in the whole wide world.
Mac Daddy, while you're thinking about that, let me just do a sound check here for this other guy. Nobody, are you there?
I think I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. All right, let's see if we can bring you back into the frame a little bit.
So we were just discussing putting Edgar Allan Poe lyrics to some kind of rock, maybe metal.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about that is you don't have to be a stickler for quality, because Poe folks don't expect much.
Poe folks. that's what you call the fans of this particular tribute band. Is that right? Because I was thinking of putting a band together.
How about if you're going to do a tribute band, you should call it Poe Folks, Poefolks.
Well, that's actually pretty good. I was thinking that's what we'd call the
Because
fans.
folks don't expect much.
I thought that's what we'd call the fans of this particular band.
Oh, okay.
But at any rate, we have.
Unfortunately, the name Poe is already called by a band, so.
Yeah, but Poe Folks. And you could just misspell it like FOLX. Right?
Yeah, you could do Poe Folks, or you could come up with a completely different name and use the Poe Folks for your audience. That idea is kind of growing on me.
Yeah. We do have a caller on the line though that was asking.
Kind of midnight dreary as I pondered, weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore.
He's reciting Poe.
Suddenly, I heard a knocking. I heard a tapping, as if someone gently tapping at my chamber door. Okay, that's all I got.
Yeah.
I used to know more of the Raven, but
yeah, so close. So anyway, Mac Daddy, who's on the line with us, was asking or telling me that somebody put shit, fuck, or shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits.
Cocksucker, motherfucker.
In a song.
Tits.
And I forget the rest of the fucking lyrics.
But you don't remember who it is?
You all, I thought it was the band that I was thinking of, but it's not. It was a pop punk band. Can you guess who it was?
I mean, you've given me very little to go on, but Green Day.
Nope. Blink 182.
Oh, yes, but they didn't do that.
So, what?
But they didn't put shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits in a song.
No.
It's one of their
And
albums.
even if they did, they'd have come after George Carlin.
Yeah, I don't.
What with, like, did they even exist when he did that material?
Oh, no. I mean, but he was probably alive and still touring and stuff when that. I mean, I know he was because, well, I've seen George Carlin live 3 times before he died, so it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, but when he debuted that, did those performers even exist?
Fuck, I wasn't alive when he did that, so
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, literally the song is Blink 182, and the song is literally shit, piss, fuck.
But not cunt.
Oh yeah, well, I got the lyrics. Cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, and twat.
Oh, that's the full. Yeah, that's the extended version, actually. Yeah.
Wait, so that's a
Those
legit
are
list?
legit list, and like actually, I've recently re-seen the bit. In fact, you played it on this show last week, as a matter of fact, and it includes the little bit where he includes.
Yeah, that was way
fart and
longer than
twat.
I thought it was going to be. I thought they go right into it, but nah.
Yeah, but no, that's fine. What else, Mac Daddy?
But yeah, there you go. Well, there's that. Music genres. Oh, right. Do you make music? How often do you make music?
I'm slacking on the music making. I've made very little since I moved to New Hampshire. I have something in the works. It's a single, and it's called It's Time, or at least that's what it's called now, which seems all very vague and mysterious because, well, it kind of is. But I had the help of somewhere between 1,000 and 3,000 people, all sort of chanting "We will not comply" at PorcFest this past year, Porcupine Freedom Festival. Every year, everybody who's there to celebrate freedom gets together and they do a PorcFest picture. And I thought, bring some audio equipment, and I'll see if I can't get everybody to, "We will not comply," right? A whole bunch of times, and I layered that up a bit, and it's the outro of the song. So the song, it kind of comes in as the song was ending.
Hundreds of people to say "We will not comply,"
or thousands even. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people were actually there, much less how many were actually. But I captured a good enough audio that you can tell what it is. So that's sort of featured in the song. That's how the song ends with all of that. But I've been working on this song for way too long, and I'm making very little progress, and I should put more time into it. But, guys got
I
a
will
day
vouch
job.
for the fact that this one's worth it, though. I mean,
You heard a demo mix of it. Guy's got a day job, guy does a thing on the weekends, and, then music's got to figure itself out somewhere in there. So it's all about trying to get it finished up. But I hope to have that before the Porcupine Freedom, or Forkfest, I guess, this year. I hope to have it done and ready to release, and maybe if I can I don't know. I haven't, like, technology has changed. And, like, I might even be able to, like, get it to drop all at the same time in all the different places and do, like, a pre-order and that kind of a thing if folks are interested in that. But, Mac Daddy, thanks. It looks like we're coming up on the bottom of the hour. This will be 4 minutes, everybody. 4 minutes.
I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, bro.
All right.
Bros.
Thanks for appearing, man.
Thanks for joining us.
That's all right. And
join liberty-minded
hopefully
voluntarists, anarchists,
back in the
and
studio
libertarians from
All right, brother.
June
Have a good night,
15th
man.
through
Trees.
the 18th for the 7th
see
annual
you.
Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out in 2022. For 2023, we're going back to where it all started, the weekend before PorcFest. ForkFest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 15th through the 18th. You can find out more at the unofficial website forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the ForkFest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the ForkFest forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there June 15th through the 18th. forkfest.party.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow with the Week in Review. NATO defence ministers have reiterated their commitment to supporting Ukraine. Allies announced deliveries of air defence systems and specialist equipment to help Ukraine's forces get through the winter. South Korea has imposed its first unilateral sanctions against North Korea in 5 years in response to ongoing missile tests. This move came after Pyongyang fired another missile into the Sea of Japan on Friday morning. Chris Gilbert reports.
Seoul says North Korea's ongoing missile tests are destabilizing peace in the region. It's blacklisting more than 30 people and institutions involved in the missile launches. It's also condemning Pyongyang for flying 10 aircraft towards the border between the two countries on Thursday, triggering an automatic deployment of South Korean fighter jets. Seoul says the move violated a pact that bans hostile acts in the border area. North Korea's latest launch on Friday morning flew 650 kilometers before landing in the ocean short of Japanese territory. Pyongyang says that was a response to 10 hours of artillery fire by South Korea.
The committee investigating the January 6th attack on the US Capitol has voted to subpoena former President Donald Trump. The committee says it has enough evidence to push for criminal charges against multiple individuals relating to the attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
In what's expected to be the final January the 6th hearing, the committee laid out how Donald Trump inspired the violence that unfolded on Capitol Hill, and how he repeatedly tried to join the crowds at the Capitol, even after they began attacking police officers. The committee's subpoena is a formal summons for Trump to appear in person to testify under oath. However, he's now likely to fight that.
After facing mounting criticism from MPs and slipping opinion polls, the UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has defended her position and her credibility as leader. Truss sacked her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng and U-turned on a decision to cut taxes. Laura Macon-Isherwood has more from London.
On Friday, she recalled her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng from a meeting in the United States and removed him from his post after facing repeated criticism over their mini-budget tax-cutting plans. In a televised address, Liz Truss said she had acted decisively and that she wants to deliver a high-growth economy. Jeremy Hunt, a well-known MP with significant government experience, now becomes the new Chancellor, a man Truss claims shares her ambitions for the country.
And a US jury has recommended life in prison rather than the death penalty for Nicholas Cruz, who was 19 when he returned to a school in Parkland, Florida, that expelled him and opened fire, killing 17 people. From bureaus worldwide, this is FS.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
This is an ultra confusing thing because I'm like, oh, I'm in Free Talk Live, but no, wait, no, this is Beard Talk Live. So I can fucking cuss over this fucking music for, a change. Not that it's fun. I actually like this fucking music, but I'm just saying I can't usually say fucking over this music. And so now I hope that I don't screw up on the next episode of Free Talk Live.
On the next episode.
Instead of Beard Talk Live, which is this show, which is, we're all, LRN family, I guess. Of course, this show wouldn't exist without the Free Talk Live show existing, which I can't believe the show even exists, right? Much less this one. Like this one I could actually believe because I used to have the Kick-Ass podcast and it was just me and another dude, not a rotating dude, right? But me and whomever, and they would come over. We'd have some, little booze, maybe a little smoke, depending. And then we'd sit down and just talk to each other. And then I would edit that out, turn it into, 4 or 5 15-minute segments, and then just drop those as a season. So, Netflix style. So.
Right.
Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
This is Minor Pain.
Minor
Pain.
Is that MINER, MINOR, or...
Well, I've been in the mines for a few decades, so I guess it's that kind of minor.
How many mines would you say you've been in, or how long? How many years of experience in mining do you have?
Well, that's a tough question to answer. My entire life.
Okay, so can you count to that many?
Yep.
How many is that when you count that far? How many is it?
How many mines have I worked in, or how many years?
No, how many years? Yeah, how many years?
This is all fictional. I've never worked in a mine.
He just had to pop the bubble.
I was going to ask you if you suffer from pneumono-ultramicroscopic silica volcanoconiosis.
It's funny you say that.
I was about to vouch for the fact that he was in the tachyon mines. That's what happened to his voice box.
Yep, that's wild, man.
When you mine in tachyons.
The longest word of all time. It's fucking crazy.
Oh, you know that word?
Yeah, pneumono-ultramicroscopic silica volcanoconiosis.
Oh my God, nice. Well done. Well done. It's not the longest word of all time. There's words that are longer, but at one point it was the longest word in Webster's English Dictionary, which at the time was the most widely recognized dictionary.
Right. Well,
it's that's the problem with medical terms. You can just stack them and stack them and stack them and stack them.
What's this caller's name?
Minor pain.
Right. I forgot. It's easy to forget about. It's minor pain, right? It's not major pain, right? Major pain's oh my God, it hurts. Minor pain's just oh, I'm sorry. That's right. My finger did hurt a little bit a minute ago.
Minor threat. Sorry, what's that?
Minor threat's a whole different topic.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking about the band, of course. You know that. But...
Oh, I thought you were talking about getting in the faces of some kids and be like, "You little bastards!" with I don't know, weapons or threatening them.
Minor threat.
That's a homonym.
Homonym.
That's a homonym.
Homonym. How many homonyms?
Well, yeah. Anyway, sorry guys, I've been feeding you nothing to work with, but I really wanted to ask.
Nothing to work with. We got how many of them homonyms in here?
How many homonyms?
That might be the very first time that's ever been said on a podcast ever.
Although I'm pretty sure pneumono-ultramicroscopic silica volcanoconiosis has been said probably on the radio and podcasts.
Yep. Yep. But probably very rarely, so that's pretty awesome. It's been said a couple times.
Yeah, so
great word.
You were going to ask us a question. What's the question?
Yeah, I was going to ask you what it feels like to move to New Hampshire from, pretty far away, I think, for both of you, and just to move there and
it's a completely different world.
Yeah. I bet it is for sure in a lot of different ways, but I guess I have to say I'm really worried about the heat. I should say the heat,
the cold.
I hate the fact. No, I hate the fact that
the fact that they've declared war against libertarians again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, You know, it comes a time, every man's life, they got to stand up to the lunchroom bully.
Well, and I knew this was going to happen when they signed the USA Patriot Act. I'm like, okay, you realize that it's one hop for them to just declare that you are you're a terrorist. And therefore you have no right to a jury trial or any of those other things.
Yeah, completely, man. It's insane that any political
domestic terrorist.
Yeah, well, implying that some of us are feral terrorists.
Well, at least we've manufactured something domestically.
Maybe that's a band name, feral terrorists.
It's so unfortunate that anybody can believe that like their political party is going to just do the right thing, and then it's cool. Like after they stop taking these extreme measures, like they won't keep doing that stuff. Like the Patriot Act, of course. Like Republicans, you
remember when the Patriot Act was going to be temporary when they first rolled that bitch out? They were like, "Oh, it's only going to be. We're only going to put this into play for like a month." I don't remember. It was a very short period of time, and then like, oh no, threat's still there. We're gonna.
You know what I really wish they'd made temporary? Speed limits. I think that was like the moment where it crossed the line. Because like that was the moment where, okay, 100% of the time there is a reason to get fucked with. Up until that point, I mean, some of the time they had a reason to talk to you about something.
Right,
but it wasn't just everywhere, all of the time for everyone.
Yeah.
Until speed limits happened. Like at some fucking point, you are going to roll down a hill faster than you ought.
It's a bit of a trope for libertarians to talk about roads because that's like a joke amongst libertarians. The roads, what about the road? And like, however, the roads, quote unquote, the roads, right? The internet and Bitcoin all have similar characteristics. They're just smaller versions of each other, right? In like a grander scheme, right? If you step back 10,000 feet.
I'm listening.
Right? So roads are a network. And once upon a time, that network was free for any traffic to travel upon. Then one day, the man said, and this is to your point, the man said, no, you can only travel as fast as we declare on this network, right? Internet comes along, right? And it's free for anyone to travel as fast as much as they want to. Nope, wait. Government wants to regulate now. They want to, like, all those fucking bills, like SOPA, PIPA, fucking, I don't remember them all, but a whole bunch of fucking stupid names for this shit, right? Where it's all like, oh, no, we're going to regulate this shit, and we're going to and what they do is they fucking slow it down. And then they track more of your data. That's all that they do with it. So, like, here are parallels, right? Roads.
Get in the way and keep a record of it.
Right. And that's exactly what they're trying to do, or they're succeeding at doing with the internet. Bitcoin, however, they have not succeeded at doing because of its decentralized nature.
Well, and they literally can't.
How do we decentralize the roads so that they can't fuck with them anymore?
Well,
you can't because they claim a monopoly.
The only way that you can decentralize the roads is that you make the roads something else entirely. So, money.
Right. You have to out-invent
could not have been decentralized except to invent a new thing that performs the same task, but is a completely different fundamental type of entity than what you're currently using, because what you're currently using is, infinite global murder.
Yeah.
As like an engine to your spaceship.
Right. So it does it in a way that's, unfuckwithable.
So if you instead use something that doesn't cause continuous bloodshed and misery, then you go in a completely different direction. And the same thing has to be done. So the roads are two things. They connect us.
Yes.
And they mark the end of our world. So the way a human brain operates, that feeling when you've just stepped into another room and you've completely forgotten why you went into that room. Because those memories are in the other room, and they literally are. You can go back through that door. You will immediately remember, that's why I went into that room.
I don't know about the immediately part, but sure. Go on.
At some point.
Go on.
All right. So if you look at the way that we operate, like here's a building. And at the very edge of where this building is the road. So like it's the edge of this little tiny pocket of the universe.
Okay.
So what you're asking is, who will mind the edge of my reality?
Ooh, whoa, that's heavy.
Who will keep an eye on the wilderness?
Minor Pain?
Well, I have to say, Peakless's words often really kind of strike deep, I could say, in some ways. Like, Peakless seems to have a broad understanding of a lot of, philosophical stuff, a lot of pretty big things that we all, big things that we all deal with in life, basically. So what was I going to comment on? What you asked me about?
I don't remember. I walked out of that room. That memory's gone.
Well, I don't know.
No.
Yeah, I love the show. That's not very exciting, but yeah, I don't know.
You can ask us anything. It's uncensored too, so if you just want to start cussing, you can do that as well if you like. I mean,
fucking shit! Are you fucking kidding me? Fuck.
Okay, I believe we can all agree on one thing.
I really
Jeffrey Epstein did not do 9/11.
No, that's fucking goddamn horseshit, man. Fucking horseshit. But I gotta ask you guys. That's what I was calling about. Like, how do you like participate in this beautiful, beautiful movement without feeling terror? Like the terror of what can happen. I hate to say that.
I can tell you exactly how. I learned it by watching government. No, actually, the government has. Here's what happened. It occurred to me that yes, there is there's an element of risk, right? I don't think any of us would say that we're not afraid. I mean, look at what's happened already, right? The Crypto 6, right?
Yeah.
The constant raids, that kind of a thing, right? Arresting otherwise peaceful people. Shit could have been handled in a way different way than they handled it, right? And that's not just the only these things continue to go on in the world around us, and the world around anyone within listening range of either Free Talk Live or this show, right? These things keep happening, and it's pretty fucking obvious when you look at the evidence, when you look at the outcome of the system, that it is not designed to do what most people think it's designed to do. It's designed to do the opposite of that, which is just fucking take people's life's effort and murder them. If you look at the outcome, the data suggests no other possible outcome. The data is overwhelming, but nobody cares about that. Nobody wants to see that.
But that doesn't explain why you are willing to let that particular Sauron turn its eye on you.
So here's the thing. It's really just, it's kind of like drinking a lot of booze. You eventually build up a tolerance. And it occurred to me that while moving here was risky and risking career, life, friendships, right? All that kind of stuff. Family for some people, right? So people's family are like, well, if you move to New Hampshire, we'll disown you and shit like that, right? So it takes a minute for people to for me though, I just came to the realization that the government has always had me under a state of terror.
Mm-hmm.
And that this was no different than any other day that I've been alive.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Right? An 80s kid, right? They had us believing that nuclear bombs were going to fall on us tomorrow. And so we lived our lives like there was no tomorrow. There was a common theme when I was growing up as a kid. Live like there's no tomorrow, bro, because you never know. Right? And that was kind of the overriding theme, growing up as a teenager. And so it occurs to me that right now is no different than that time. It's the same threat. It's the same people, the same organization, right? It's just time has changed, and then they call it something different to invent something new because they have to. They can't keep threatening you with the same thing over and over again and then never delivering on it, right? They can't continue.
You gain tolerance to that threat.
Right. So that's why, I'm here. Plus, I also feel like when I discovered... when I came out of the fog of statism, because I used to walk around, I was a drone, man, a bit, but I would always do the the religious thing, right? The religions always point to the book, right? And so people would ask me about my politics.
Right. Yeah,
I'd be
yeah.
like, well, what does it say in the Constitution?
Right.
So I may have been like a constitutionalist previously. You know, I'm not sure like what any of that meant. I never considered myself political at all.
If someone asks you a question, it's fair to ask them what their definitions of parts of the question are.
Right.
So if someone's asking you about what the government ought to be doing, well, you go, well, what is this government thing? It's the thing defined by the Constitution, right? Okay, well, then we've got a holy read here now, don't we?
And that's the direction I would go. I was like, well, but I'd say so. Then, like, is there a thing? And like, sometimes they'd explain it away in legalese. Well, because of the blah and this and the other thing, and the Supreme Court ruled that blah blah blah. Like, you could sometimes they could reason their way out of it.
The Talmud, not the Torah. Oh, see, this is what the priests added on to our book afterward. Is
but it's also strange that like 40 years later they're threatening us with nuclear bombs again, right? Like, and I say this because I mean not just the United States government. I mean all of the governments are working together to sort of threaten people and get more control over them. We saw that with COVID. We've seen it with every other thing the government really ever does. All they do is grow and get more in your way and take more for them and less for you, and conspire to keep you in a state of fear and belief that you need them. They want everybody to believe that we need them and we don't. We're perfectly capable of interacting as the population of planet Earth on an individual basis. Humankind is completely capable of that.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot disagree. I cannot disagree with any of that. It was beautiful right there. Yeah, to kind of tie into what you were saying a little while ago, I just cannot believe that we're actually at a point where we have to face our existence in this sense. You know, like we have to think about nuclear war. It's like it makes me so upset.
Didn't we already figure this shit out?
Yeah.
Seriously, that was one of the only upsides of being born when I was born is like, hey, humanity got together and decided not to kill itself that one time.
Yeah.
Wild, because the Soviet Union and the U.S. probably at some point throughout the whole Cold War came to some agreement that it was not a good idea. It was not optional. And it seems like right now that the rhetoric that's coming out between both sides is just, I'm sorry, guys, it's just fucking terrifying right now. It scares the shit out of me. I'm sorry.
Well,
it really does.
One thing to keep in mind is that it's always darkest before dawn, and that's absolutely where we are. Like, straight up, look at the events that are occurring in the news. Look at what we've been waiting to happen. Look at what every Austrian economist has said for the last, like, century almost at this point.
Of course.
So,
of
like,
course. Yeah.
okay,
I'm sorry.
the pain of putting everything on the government credit card is finally coming due. Like, that's what we're going through. That's what this is.
A totally predictable event, too.
Yeah. We all knew that can was going to hit a brick wall at some point and could no longer get kicked down the road. Okay, this is the first scrapings of when you get close to that brick wall. The economic system of the earth is shifting fundamentally. And there's no changing that. What we can change is which way we go. Because we are on a razor's edge. And we will slip to one side or to the other.
I mean, the network effect, which is the fundamental thing underlying all of the inventions of mankind, right? This is the network effect. Always brings upon some sort of a next step in humanity's evolution, right? So, trails, right? They got you from one place to another, horseback riding, right? Got you faster, right? Got you to be able to pull stuff. And now you can do farming and stuff like that because I can pull a thing. And mankind is an inventive person or inventive species. And so they go on inventing, and the more technology that exists, the more things are invented. And in theory, we're supposed to be hitting a point in humanity where the pace of invention outpaces our ability as a species to understand it all simultaneously. So, like, somebody will
Well,
invent
that's
a new
always
thing.
true.
Somebody will invent a new thing, and before the entire species can sort of adapt to it, new things will be invented on top of that. Like, when I was growing up, they were talking about, like, the amount of technology between, 1920 and the year 2000 would double in half of the time in the next century. Right. And, this is, the newspaper said all this, and like, it seemed to be true because technology was moving at a pretty fast pace. Well, so we've got up to now, and the network effect is, directly responsible for all of the major inventions: television, radio, telegraph, internet, telephones, wireless, right? All
The
of this
more
stuff.
access to information you have, the more thoughts you're capable of making.
And the faster people innovate.
Right.
So what I'm talking about is the speed of the next innovation. Now, if let's just say Bitcoin was the next thing right after the internet, right? Now it's Bitcoin. What's the next thing, and how fast is it going to come?
Well, the first thing is that the base layer of innovations that Bitcoin creates have to go through first. So, for one thing, you can completely replace the vast majority of where human intelligence is currently placed. Most of the legal framework is completely unnecessary.
Yes. And can be replaced.
Practically all of our financial network is completely unnecessary.
Yep.
And can be automated. Like, not only replaced, but completely automated.
Yep. Imagine running an Atari 2600 game on your Windows 11 laptop, right? That's the difference in technology that we're going to see when it comes to things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in the next 10 years. People are coding cryptocurrency and blockchain-related items, all of the DAOs, the decentralized autonomous organizations, right? Smart contracts are out there. Like, people are developing this stuff 24/7, and that industry is doing nothing but growing. So, like, as days go by, more and more people are developing.
Yeah, no, it was...
the next thing that comes out of this is going to be amazing. It can't not be.
Yeah, that's why, like, if I hear, like, because some people literally question whether or not Bitcoin will come back up. And it's like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
No,
Like, okay, on some level, this is vacillating, but it's vacillating around, like, what can this thing actually get used for? And if you look at what's developing, like, development isn't slowing down.
No.
It's doing very much the opposite.
Yeah.
So we not only do we already have way more use case than when it was a much higher value, but it is accelerating.
And it functions better. Like, all of the original apps, right? All the wallets and stuff like that have done nothing but improve the entire time.
Yeah.
As just sort of a barometer of how things are going in the development world. Like, the wallets now are amazing. They're amazing. So, at least the ones I use anyway.
So,
you guys still there?
Yeah, you're still there.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. Who's
no.
going to talk? I was just, thinking about, like, adoption. If people don't adopt cryptocurrency on a wide scale, widespread sort of level,
then they will adopt central bank digital currencies.
And I also, like, there's this piece of me that thinks it's not safe to have your wealth stored in, like, this digital way. Like, the fact that you can carry, I'm sorry, guys. The fact that you can carry, like, gold and silver is so much more profound to me.
Hey, Minor Pain, we're going to take another break here. We'll be back in 7 minutes.
Cocksucker motherfucker.
And tits.
Do you prefer to listen to Free Talk Live on your schedule on demand? You can find the link to our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com, which features the daily digest of our radio show 7 days a week. Just drop our RSS feed into your favorite podcast client or subscribe to us on the large platforms if you prefer, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartMedia, Spotify, and Stitcher. All the links are at feeds.freetalklive.com. If the daily digests aren't enough for you and you really don't want to miss a moment of Free Talk Live, you can always sign up for our AMPS Patreon at amps.freetalklive.com for just $5 a month, and you'll get the full radio show without recorded commercials. Plus, you'll help us advertise, market, promote, and support Free Talk Live. That's amps.freetalklive.com to join AMPS, or feeds.freetalklive.com to get our main podcast, or find us on the major podcast platforms. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow with the Week in Review. NATO defence ministers have reiterated their commitment to supporting Ukraine. Allies announced deliveries of air defence systems and specialist equipment to help Ukraine's forces get through the winter. South Korea has imposed its first unilateral sanctions against North Korea in 5 years in response to ongoing missile tests. This move came after Pyongyang fired another missile into the Sea of Japan on Friday morning. Chris Gilbert reports.
Seoul says North Korea's ongoing missile tests are destabilizing peace in the region. It's blacklisting more than 30 people and institutions involved in the missile launches. It's also condemning Pyongyang for flying 10 aircraft towards the border between the two countries on Thursday, triggering an automatic deployment of South Korean fighter jets. Seoul says the move violated a pact that bans hostile acts in the border area. North Korea's latest launch on Friday morning flew 650 kilometers before landing in the ocean short of Japanese territory. Pyongyang says that was a response to 10 hours of artillery fire by South Korea.
The committee investigating the January 6th attack on the US Capitol has voted to subpoena former President Donald Trump. The committee says it has enough evidence to push for criminal charges against multiple individuals relating to the attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
In what's expected to be the final January the 6th hearing, the committee laid out how Donald Trump inspired the violence that unfolded on Capitol Hill and how he repeatedly tried to join the crowds at the Capitol, even after they began attacking police officers. The committee's subpoena is a formal summons for Trump to appear in person to testify under oath. However, he's now likely to fight that.
After facing mounting criticism from MPs and slipping opinion polls, the UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has defended her position and her credibility as leader. Truss sacked her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng and U-turned on a decision to cut taxes. Laura Macon-Isherwood has more from London.
On Friday, she recalled her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng from a meeting in the United States and removed him from his post after facing repeated criticism over their mini-budget tax-cutting plans. In a televised address, Liz Truss said she had acted decisively and that she wants to deliver a high-growth economy. Jeremy Hunt, a well-known MP with significant government experience, now becomes the new Chancellor, a man Truss claims shares her ambitions for the country.
And a US jury's recommended life in prison rather than the death penalty for Nicholas Cruz, who was 19 when he returned to a school in Parkland, Florida, that expelled him and opened fire, killing 17 people. From bureaus worldwide, This is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Global wildlife populations have fallen by nearly 70% in less than 50 years. That's according to the latest study by the World Wildlife Fund. Its Living Planet report has assessed 5,000 species of birds, amphibians, reptiles and fish worldwide and mapped how those populations have changed over the decades. They're now calling for immediate action to halt what they call a nature and climate crisis. Tanya Steele is the fund's chief executive.
It is a severe warning that we are facing both a climate and a nature catastrophe, and ultimately it's driven by human activity, which has continued at pace in converting so much of the natural world, whether this has been through construction, but actually largely the way in which we're changing the natural world in terms of converting land for food and for agriculture. Importantly, world leaders have been missing in action despite dire warnings over repeated years, and we need them to step forward and put in place an action plan before it is too late.
She says there is a very, very short window for action, and while conceding that the war in Ukraine and other international developments are siphoning away the attention of many world leaders, she says the evidence of the impacts of climate change themselves speak volumes about the need to give the issue immediate focus. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
FSN is an independent source of news for TV, radio and digital networks worldwide. You can find more of our minute-by-minute updates on Twitter. Follow us there at Feature Story. And we have a wealth of audio and video stories from our global news bureaus on Facebook. You can find us there by following Feature Story News. Stay tuned for further updates right here. But for now, that's the latest Feature Story News. William Denslow reporting.
Video game players love customizing every aspect of their character. One game, Elder Scrolls Online, has set a new bar for character creation by letting players design every organ and cell in their avatar's body.
In Elder Scrolls Online, you get to play as whoever you want to play. You are in control of everything from your character's face to their hair to their arteries. We're not just going to give you some pre-made bones and ligaments. You get to create the musculoskeletal system that's right for you. You can even alter the DNA.
Are all of these changes just cosmetic?
No, not at all. They have a huge effect on gameplay. If your character's body has any anatomical flaws, they could die immediately.
Beta testers say that designing every aspect of their character is a compelling experience.
I've been designing my orc's liver for 5 hours now. This is awesome.
Designing the hands is the hardest part. I keep having to look up how all the joints connect.
Players can also press the randomize button to get a completely random collection of body parts.
This is the Onion News Network.
Conditioning has been this effect.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
When you're at the bar.
Free Talk Live.
So I think you just asked me if everything we're doing is just role-playing. Because do I get into that fight because I'm playing the role of the guy who gets into that fight? And I've seen the role of guy who gets into that fight played.
Right, but don't you think that, like, I mean, the magic of the glowing box, right? Before the magic rectangle, there was the glowing box. That's television, right? Don't you think that people play a role sometimes? They've seen it repeated on television, in the movies, in their favorite books and all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, well, when these things happen, here's the regular sequence of events. I'll give you an example. The husband, the wife, the one level ranch, the white picket fence, and the 2.5 kids. Right, these are tropes, if you will, right, that have been programmed into at least Western civilization for at least the last 50 years, right, maybe longer. And so, as you go through your daily life, how much of it is you playing a role that you've sort of seen repeated over and over again, and how much of it is actually your own decision?
Well, I'd say the role is way deeper than just what you've seen or even heard.
I'm not trying to insinuate that people are controlled by these things, but you are conditioned to believe that things play out in a certain circumstance.
Well, I mean, you got to think about where that came from, though. So, I mean, like, these are survival strategies.
Yes.
So, like, you get this story because here is a story that we know a bunch of people have survived living out.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you look at the elements in that story, those are very old elements. And the particular telling of this story changes culture to culture. But, like, these elements have been around forever. So, like, where you draw the line of acceptable behavior or of in-group and out-group, like, that changes, but that you draw a line. And the story is about drawing those lines and what happens when people step over them. Those are universal.
Yeah. But on some level, I feel that I was under their control, so to speak.
Mm.
You know, like, I feel like the movie The Matrix, right? That's been the libertarian, sort of description of what it means to, like, sort of come out of the fog of statism. I refer to it as that because I was a foggy thinker, right? Because I thought that, economics is way too complicated. Only, like, much smarter people than me, mathematicians and scientists must be, the people who are doing the economy stuff. They're evaluating stuff. They're always monitoring what's going on in money world. And, like, it's too complex for me to even comprehend. And then
that's the picture they paint.
Yeah. And then I somehow I was like, wait, that's totally not true. And it was through, like, reading, like, articles on Mises and stuff like occasionally things would pop into my purview. It was mostly due to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And what's it? I should read this, and I was like, wait a minute. Economics really is just supply and demand. 2 + 2 = 4.
Real economics.
Real economics is just that simple. It's supply and demand. It's, customer, satisfaction, all that kind of thing. And it really is that simple. All the rest of it is just a bunch of bullshit that they have made up.
Yeah,
right?
and economics in particular,
to control you.
It's the worst about that because, like, you already know actual economics. What they're covering up your knowledge with is bullshit.
Yeah.
And they will give you, like, all these complicated diagrams and just books and books and books full of jargon. Like, specialized terms for shit that doesn't exist.
I'm pretty sure I saw Reagan give the speech about trickle-down economics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that I saw that, like, as it was happening, as a child who understood nothing in this world, right? But, like, it rings in my mind. I also remember, like, I think it was Saturday Night Live, like old school Saturday Night Live, making fun of President Reagan doing the trickle-down economics, right? They were doing skits about it, and it seemed ridiculous to me. I'm like, if you just listen to the words that he's saying, they kind of don't make sense, and then if you try and figure them out, you're like, I think he's saying that they're gonna make a bunch more money, and somehow that's gonna make everybody more wealthy eventually. And that's not at all what happened.
No. That's not how this works at all.
And I'm not like a Reagan. Like, I mean, I think I was born during Carter. I think, or that's the first president I remember being president was Carter, and then Reagan, then Clinton, and then who was after Clinton? Bush.
So
Obama.
I mean, the way you described it
Bush.
is kind of like cups over other cups, right?
Yeah.
So, like, okay, I will pour it into this cup, and then it will fill, and then it will pour into other cups.
Right.
So tell me, has the bank ever called you up and said, I'm sorry, but your account is full. You'll have to open another account.
Right. Yeah. There's
no.
It's not finite in any way. Banks have a limited amount of room, right? No matter how large the bank is, they only own so much real estate, and there's only so many places they should be able to put your money. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely. It's an infinite, never-ending digital manifestation. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had a friend that pointed out, no, the brilliance of that speech was that it made to everyone made it sound like they were the peer and not the peon.
Yes. What's the other thing I was thinking of that reminded me of? It's damn it, I lost it. It's another analogy, though.
I did kind of want to get back to a more general theme on this, though, as far as like
we still got.
I can hold on to it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Or I can go into it.
Let's see if Minor Threat. Are you still there?
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, the connection is really bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can't understand a word you're saying. It sounds pretty cool, though. Like it'd be a nice effect in a song or a vocal effect, but
yeah, it's a great robot voice.
There we go.
Oh,
amazing. But,
were you doing that on purpose? Because I almost hung up on you.
No, I just walked down to the other end of the house. But
oh, you went out of range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe you still have Minor in the call. He's great.
Isn't that you?
That's me.
Okay. Most people don't talk about themselves in the third person. The captain certainly doesn't. Does the Peakless Mountaineer talk about himself in the third person? The captain wants to know.
Huh?
No, you never do. All right. Our crack team of producers.
Dude, if I'm gonna be Minor Pain, I gotta hear like the best production ever. I gotta like enter.
Oh, well then you've called the wrong fucking show, buddy.
Gotta tell you, I've seen better production values.
We've got some some crack
almost
producers,
like
but
it's dangerously half-assed.
I would never attempt to half-ass anything as important as an uncensored internet stream.
I mean,
dude, I tell you, man, Beard Talk Live is the fucking future. It really is.
That's the fucking future. Wow. Well,
it's fucking where it's at, man. Where people can actually tell the truth and talk about shit. So
that's true.
And cuss.
That's true.
Like,
well, I mean, look at what the most popular show in the world right now is. Fucking Joe Rogan.
That's
like
true.
He gets more viewership than anything else, and he actually tells the truth, or at least tries to.
Yeah, or tries to have an objectiveness to him to evaluate the opinions of the people that he's talking to. You know.
So I mean, if you just look at viewership, like all of the renowned sources of bullshit are going down the tubes. No one's watching CNN, MSNBC, and all the.
It's amazing.
No one's watching the Alphabet TV.
Great. More of that, please.
Right. And that's exactly what we're going to see.
More choice, more programming, more content, better sources.
Incredible. It's incredible. Like Joe Rogan's podcast is so much more popular than any fucking crap that most people.
All right, human beings like to reduce things into twos. What's the if Joe Rogan's the Republican podcaster, what's the opposite Democrat podcaster? And I know Joe Rogan probably isn't a Republican. I don't think he's declared a political stance so much as he's just been like, I just want to talk about ideas.
Yeah.
But
you're just looking for like the Democrat equivalent.
But yeah, like what's if he's Coke, who's Pepsi, right? Let's look at it in a market.
That's much easier to do.
Analogy, right? Yeah. Who's number two?
Because you're telling me to like, okay, if he was a Republican, I'm like, I don't have that imagination actually.
Coke or Pepsi?
Okay, who's the Pepsi to his Coke?
Or who's the Coke to his Pepsi?
Or vice versa.
That's a tough question. That's a tough question.
Is there a number two podcaster? Like, who's the next most popular podcaster?
I don't know. A very good question.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Huh.
I guess there are some really good.
Man, that fucking Pareto principle is killer.
If only there were a device.
Like, Minor, do you know what the Pareto principle is?
No, I don't know what that is. But
so it gets called the 80-20 rule, which is close enough for most practical applications. It's a square root rule.
I love the 80-20 rule, but I didn't know that it was called that.
Yeah. The Pareto principle. So in any creative endeavor, the square root of the things doing the thing do half of it. So like if you've got 100 people making music, then you will have 10 of them making half of the music. And it scales up and down all the way. So you always have a square root of people doing half of the work.
That seems to actually be the case.
Yeah. It also applies to the size of stars, the size of cities, the height of trees in the rainforest. Yeah, it's just
kidding.
Yeah, no, it's whenever you have a feedback loop. It's also called the Matthew principle because there's a part of Matthew where it says that to those who have, even more shall be given, and from those who have not, what little they have shall be taken away. And that is basically how it works. So, like, if you are a tall tree in the rainforest where, you know, it's ideal growing conditions for just sprouting up as high as possible, then if you are taller, that little bit taller than the ones around you, then you can get way more sunlight and sprout way higher.
All right, so you guys, you know, hold your Jolly Green Giants there. The top 10 most popular podcasts of 2022. Number 1, The Joe Rogan Experience, hosted by Joe Rogan. Number 2, Crime Junkie, hosted by Ashley Flowers and Britt Prowatt. I have no idea who those people are or that their podcast existed until just now. The rest of them I also don't recognize.
Well, I mean, Crime TV was really popular for a while.
Well, sure. The next one is Call Her Daddy, hosted by Alexandra Cooper. I don't know. No idea.
That shit?
No idea. My Favorite Murders, the next one is 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3. This will be number 4. Number 5 is the
I'm starting to feel like better and better about not knowing this.
Yeah. Number 5 is the Ben Shapiro Show. So that's the top 5.
Well, you mentioned one that I have heard before.
The Joe Rogan Show.
No, I've heard like Shapiro was okay for a while.
Yeah, never listened to him. Never listened to him.
He broke my heart.
There's a bunch of those guys I can't fucking listen to.
He was reasonable for a half second.
I can't even listen to like Rand Paul for too long because he's so far off from his dad. He really is.
You know, his newer stuff is way better.
Dude, you're not a fan of the older material?
Oh my God. Back in the day, he was an absolute shill for the Republican mainstream position, like the military-industrial complex, the Forever Wars. God, he was awful. And
no, it's true. It's true. You're right about
his
this,
later
man.
stuff is way better.
He turned very libertarian. Recently.
Well,
he really did.
Yeah, but it's election season, so you know.
Well,
yeah, I know, but it's just
a number of things happened, including a general populist uprising in America. Like, everyone forgets about the populists on the left because they lost. But there was a minute when Bernie Sanders was absolutely the shoo-in for president.
Yeah.
I remember being surrounded by Bernie bots on the West Coast.
No, he absolutely had the mandate of the politically left half of America.
I thought was scary as fuck, by the way. I mean, just having government is scary as fuck. No matter who.
Were you getting attacked by the Bernie supporters, Captain? The Bernie supporters were going after you?
Attack would be perhaps an overstatement, but certainly we had our conversations and disagreements, and you know, some folks even kind of like sort of stopped being my friend, you know, kind of a thing, you know.
Rough.
I mean, not many. Yeah,
I was joking about the fighting thing, but it does suck. Like, the reality that you're gonna lose some friends, you know, like that sucks.
Well, this is what happens when we allow one sector of our society to be perpetually violent.
Yeah, and
that
also
means that there's one thing that we can actually argue about, because we will literally kill each other over this.
Yep.
And like, I find the statement true that the amount of liberty that you enjoy is directly proportionate to the amount of liberty you exercise. You know, one of the reasons we do this show, right? And Free Talk Live, right? This whole thing is because, holy shit, there's this place where I can go and talk about this shit and, you know, talk about it freely and openly and like, you know, supposedly without, you know, any threat. Right, but I say that because the supposedly part is like, you know,
Right.
But I'm exercising it because I can, because I don't see a whole lot of other motherfuckers exercising it. Like we seem to be kind of the, you know, I mean, there's a lot of podcasts and stuff, a lot of libertarians out there doing great work. I'm just saying that, like, as far as national radio is concerned, it's the only game in town Free Talk Live is, and so it just felt natural. And Peakless and I,
the liberty you exercise is the liberty you enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the point of having free speech, even if we did have free speech, if we don't use it?
Right.
It's fucking beautiful.
And okay, if you're going to deny me my free speech, fuck you. I'm going to speak anyway.
Yeah.
I will determine what my rights are. Thank you very much. And you don't have the power to stop all of us.
Hey, Minor, did you were you bullied in like grade school? You know, did somebody try and take your lunch money?
Not really, man. To be honest, like I've always been small, but I've had a lot of good friends.
Yeah.
So I never was in the position where I was getting fucked with too much by people. You know.
Did you ever have to stand up to a bully and put him in his place in some way, shape, or form?
Not really. Never had to like stand up and fight like that. I just always had really, really good friends. You know, so it was never a problem, which is probably a good thing, right? So.
Seems that way. Or, you know, recognizing the bully in the room, you know,
and attacking him
isn't as easy as it used to be. But I recognize this, the organization known as government, the organization type known as government, is a bully.
The bully is everywhere now. The bully is all over your back now.
So
the bully is everywhere, man. It's true.
And there was this like whole social movement recently, I don't know, 20 years ago, right? The anti-bullying, right? The anti-bullying hotlines started popping up. The organizations, the Anti-Bullying Association of Anti-Bullies or whatever, something, you know, all these organizations started popping up. And
I remember it for a minute.
And like people kept like definition of a bully. Like there were all these public service messages or like, here's what a bully looks like. When a bully does this and a bully does that, that's the actions of a bully. And every time I saw one of these, I'm like, that's what fucking government does.
Right.
You were like, that's not bullies, that's government. That's not bullies.
Yeah. And I was like, oh.
But I repeat myself.
Wait, I see. Those are the actions of bullies.
God damn it. You're right about that.
And also, they struggled with the 9/11 thing, right? They struggled with the word terrorism, right? The United States government struggled with it because they were concerned that the definition, which it does, the definition meets the definition of government. So if you look at what is a terrorist, the dictionary definition, pre-9/11 version, right? Look at that, and then go, well, is this government? And you're like, yeah, sure as fuck is.
Mm-hmm.
Governments are terrorist organizations. They are. It's a horrible way to organize the human race. It's antique. It's barbaric. It's heinous. It's beyond criminal. And
well, the worst thing is that people decide to be led by these rulers. Like, you could pick decent human beings who don't force others to do what they want. You could follow them.
You could just follow yourself, too.
You could do that.
Be the captain of yourself. There's, you know, my witty retort. But it's true. Like, I think more people should stop following and start leading themselves. Lead yourselves. Like, where the fuck are we all going? We're already here. Where the fuck are we going that you need all this leadership? You need these giant fucking murderous organizations.
No, I want someone smart and responsible to plan my life for me.
You can pay for that service.
Right? No, I want you to steal from other people.
They would do a better job.
And then give me that service for free.
That's what it is, man. It's theft from all people. Theft from all people.
Why do you think I voted for you?
You remind me of Doug and Wendy Weiner.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean,
You guys are talking about
that
some
is what
real-
voting is. It's
You're talking about some real
the
stuff.
suggestion box for slaves.
It's just whining on a piece
Yes,
of paper.
It really
It's
is.
literally a suggestion box. That's really what it is.
It's worse than
Can
that,
you hear
though.
me?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we can.
Oh
hear
yeah.
you.
Well, see if
We're
it
just
was
busy talking over you.
if
Awesome.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
the problem is like with a suggestion box, they're not torturing you.
Oh, but they are. because-
Whereas government is actively torturing you. So if you give them a suggestion box of this hurts,
I
then
don't know. I'm not being tortured too much, but it's possible Captain's torturing me right now.
we might be torturing some listeners too. Thanks, minor threat. We're gonna do a thing. 4 minutes. For 4 minutes. What will we ever do for 4 minutes? Lord only knows.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow with the Week in Review. NATO defence ministers have reiterated their commitment to supporting Ukraine. Allies announced deliveries of air defence systems and specialist equipment to help Ukraine's forces get through the winter. South Korea has imposed its first unilateral sanctions against North Korea in 5 years in response to ongoing missile tests. This move came after Pyongyang fired another missile into the Sea of Japan on Friday morning. Chris Gilbert reports.
Seoul says North Korea's ongoing missile tests are destabilizing peace in the region. It's blacklisting more than 30 people and institutions involved in the missile launches. It's also condemning Pyongyang for flying 10 aircraft towards the border between the two countries on Thursday, triggering an automatic deployment of South Korean fighter jets. Seoul says the move violated a pact that bans hostile acts in the border area. North Korea's latest launch on Friday morning flew 650 kilometers before landing in the ocean short of Japanese territory. Pyongyang says that was a response to 10 hours of artillery fire by South Korea.
The committee investigating the January 6th attack on the US Capitol has voted to subpoena former President Donald Trump. The committee says it has enough evidence to push for criminal charges against multiple individuals relating to the attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
In what's expected to be the final January the 6th hearing, the committee laid out how Donald Trump inspired the violence that unfolded on Capitol Hill, and how he repeatedly tried to join the crowds at the Capitol, even after they began attacking police officers. The committee's subpoena is a formal summons for Trump to appear in person to testify under oath. However, he's now likely to fight that.
After facing mounting criticism from MPs and slipping opinion polls, the UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has defended her position and her credibility as leader. Truss sacked her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng and U-turned on a decision to cut taxes. Laura Macon-Isherwood has more from London.
On Friday, she recalled her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng from a meeting in the United States and removed him from his post after facing repeated criticism over their mini-budget tax-cutting plans. In a televised address, Liz Truss said she had acted decisively and that she wants to deliver a high-growth economy. Jeremy Hunt, a well-known MP with significant government experience, now becomes the new Chancellor, a man Truss claims shares her ambitions for the country.
And a US jury's recommended life in prison rather than the death penalty for Nicholas Cruz, who was 19 when he returned to a school in Parkland, Florida, that expelled him and opened fire, killing 17 people. From bureaus worldwide, this is FS.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits. In the studio tonight, it's
Peakless Mountaineer.
And shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits.
And Reverend Dr. Lord Captain Appended Kick-ass.
Appended. I've been appended. I'm offended at being appended. Man.
Esquire. Buckshot.
Buckshot Esquire, if you will.
Oh, am I getting this out of order?
Yeah.
I'll have to start over.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I think I've already been repetitive enough. Or I may have already been repetitive enough.
So I just got filled in on the Elon Musk situation. You know,
is that the digital version?
More and more like a simulation.
Wait, I was going to say, is that the digital version of Lon Musk? Right? First there was Lon Musk.
No, it's the electronic version
right.
of Lon Musk.
Right. First there was Lon Musk, and then there was Elon Musk. Right? They put an E in front of it. If Apple built him, he'd be Elon Musk. Right? He'd be the Elon.
Apparently there's an AI Steve Jobs and Joe Rogan interview. Right?
E-Rogan?
You know, is there an alternate universe where Joe is the name of that show?
Rojogan? Yeah. Dude, I recently watched several episodes of News Radio. As a 90s
Oh
sitcom
my God,
show.
I love that show.
Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Rogan's on it with hair and super young.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to be the smart techie guy in the office, the internet guy.
Who can fix everything.
And also who seems to believe in conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a caricature of his future self in ways. And that was disturbing to me. I was like, oh, wait. Is Joe Rogan part of like the Hollywood thing? Because he is. He had his Fear Factor show. You know what I mean? He's got his podcast now. Yeah, dude knows what he's doing. You know?
Does he?
Of course he is. He's been in the industry for so fucking long. Media, right? He's as an actor, right? And then as a reality TV host, right? And now with his podcast, you know, like.
I don't know. When it comes to Hollywood, I honestly expect them to be operating on multiple levels.
I'm not saying he is part of it. Like, I'm just saying, like, dude has been in the media for fucking ever. You know? So
like, have you ever seen the interview with Oprah and Dave Chappelle?
No, I have not, because I refuse to watch Oprah.
So this one's actually worth watching. And, like, she has no response to when he's talking about this, but he starts talking about Hollywood and how, like, he noticed these weird things that they did, like always putting black men in dresses. Which, you know, if you think about it, it's fucking weird that Wesley Snipes was in a dress.
Yep.
That's weird. That is unusual. And no, if you think about it, every single black actor who's like made it big in Hollywood, some point they're in a dress.
Why is that? Weird.
So like that's one of those, like, I think that there are people operating on that level, you know, secret creepy level, and there are people who are not operating on that level, And because you're doing that secret creepy shit right out in the open, you have to like do them simultaneously. So on the one hand, you're definitely going to try and make the rich and powerful black actor wear a dress for this next bit. But you're going to be, oh, come on, it's a funny bit, it's good. You're going to play around with, you're going to sell it, you know? So it doesn't look like you're doing anything weird. But really, it's Hollywood. Everything's weird.
I don't have a segue, but I just had a thought. What if mankind is creating AI so that AI can solve how to unlock more of the human brain's capacity? Because they say we only use, at a minuscule amount. I don't know what the percent is, but they say human beings only use a tiny portion of their brain power.
That's bullshit, and here's why.
Really?
We only use a part of our brain at a time. Because, as it turns out, you are not trying to ride a tricycle and do differential fractions at the same time.
Well, some of us aren't.
While
I don't know about you.
You juggle and sing opera.
Juggling opera. I might go see that.
Right? Yeah, no, like okay, think about it. Your brain does things. Different parts of your brain do different things. So if you had them all lit up at the same time, that means that your whole brain is trying to do all the things at the same time.
Right. But,
which, like, on the very basest level, like the smallest part of your brain is trying to run away and stand still at the same time.
I understand what you're saying, but I also feel like there's more available.
Oh, yeah. Technology has always been a way of expanding our reach in both senses and manipulation of the universe.
Like, as much as I rip on humanity as a species, and there are a horrible, disgusting, fucking murderous, heinous fucking species, I also have hope for them.
Yeah.
Because we invent a whole bunch of kick-ass shit.
They're also, the other thing.
Yeah, but like human beings invent a bunch of kick-ass shit. There's no other species on planet Earth inventing a bunch of kick-ass shit, at least not as far as humans are concerned. Like, can you show me another species on planet Earth inventing a bunch of kick-ass shit?
Well, you were saying earlier that we're an inventive species.
Yes.
In my brain, I'm going, we are the inventive species. Like, we are the most inventive species on the planet.
Okay, great. I did not know that for a fact, but like, it was my suspicion. What, like, that's going to lead us to something. You know what I mean? That's why I have hope. I have hope because we can use our brains. We can change our behavior patterns and make new decisions when faced with similar situations, right? We're not like the Doberman when they light up the light in the experiment test and the food drops out, it rushes over, sticks its head through the door and eats the food, and then one day they don't open the door and it just bangs its head against the thing until, like, it stops, right? But like, it's going to continue to do that every time the light goes on. Pavlov's dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Human beings have the ability to escape that. Now, some human beings might take 10, 15 times hitting their head against the wall. Other human beings might not ever. Right? They might not, be able to hit their head against the wall enough times. But like, I think more and more of us are. I feel like human beings are escaping that type of repetitive programming at a faster pace now.
Well,
which is why I have hope.
One of the things that is just bound into the nature of reality and of all living things is change.
Yeah.
So, for example, a more or less universal experience that you've been doing something you're used to doing 1,000,000 times and suddenly you do it wrong. You're used to driving home on this highway, taking this exit. You've done it 1,000,000 times and then suddenly you miss your exit and you're like, why did I miss that exit?
Right.
I know I can do this. There's a reason.
What's the reason?
Reality seeks novelty. Always.
It is like, okay, in an analogy to that, when I try and write a new guitar riff, like I want to write a new song, I will pick up the guitar. Maybe I'm trying to like work something out that I hear in my head, but basically I'm just hitting the fretboard until, something's, that sounds, or oftentimes I'll be trying to learn like a whole other part, and I'll screw up and I'll be like, oh wait, that sounded good. Right? And so like then I'll just use that part so you're right. It seeks novelty, right? It seeks change. All of the music that exists in the world that can be written has been written. You can't write a new melody. You can't write all you can change is the format and style in which you play.
The way it's put together.
Right. And what you put behind it. Might be able to play it on a different instrument or, that kind of a thing. But like, it's the how. It's not the what. It's the how. But everything musically that's been invented
the notes have all been played.
Right.
But that combination may never have been played before.
No, the combination of notes has certainly been played before. It's the delivery of the notes, the passion behind how the human being plays the instrument that creates the novelty. Right? Again, every piece of music that can be written has been written. Every sequence of melody has been done. Right? The only difference is how it's put together, what instruments are used, how the people behind the instruments play it. Somebody's going to play it a little differently than the guy before it. Right? They'll embellish it a little bit or change it up a little bit according to their ear and their tastes. And this is just an illustration, though, of the continual inventiveness of human beings. The fact that music never ends. People continue to make music generation after generation after generation, and they're keeping it fresh and they're keeping it new for each corresponding generation. You might not like the next generation's music behind us or whatever, but like,
I don't much care for this generation.
It also went the other way, right? Your parents hate your music.
Like I was talking about earlier, the fact that we don't have any emphasis on what the hell the words are bugs the shit out of me. And the fact that we have almost no complexity to our music. I mean, I know classical sounds terrible to most people, but at least it has some complexity to it.
Well, there are genres of music out there that, have those characteristics. You have to go hunting for it. But they do exist, but it's certainly not mainstream, right? Mainstream music, pop music is just, but I don't know. Parents were all like, "That rock and roll is gonna kill you," and it's like, no, actually, it kind of saved my ass, So, I chose the music that I like because of that reason, right? That's the style and brand of music that I identify with or identified with the most. Still do to a large extent.
Well,
Punk rock more so. Because of the lyrical content, now that I'm so anti-state, or
the rise of rock was the last truly good movement in American music. Like everything after that was downhill.
Well, has there been another one, right? Like what came after rock? Because pop already existed.
Sure, there's a bunch of different styles that, some of them existed, but they weren't very popular that have become popular since. All of the forms of electronic music, for example. Like, they didn't exist before rock.
Yeah, that's true.
And they don't even remotely compare to it.
Rap certainly came about post-rock.
Yeah.
That's true. I've never looked at that as like a generational thing, but it might just be. Interesting. I'll have to think about that for a while.
Yeah, rock was the last great revolution in American music. Everything since then, it's been a culture that's afraid to take chances. And when you're afraid to take chances with your music, you don't get good music.
That may be true, but then again, music is subjective. It's always about the listener's perspective. It's
sure, music is subjective. However, it does have objective elements.
It does.
So the fact that there are notes and that those notes have a specific mathematical relationship in their vibration to each other, and the fact that people over time and across different cultures really like notes that have these mathematical relationships to each other. The third, the fifth. Like, there is something objective to the tendencies of our subjective value of things like music.
Right.
Like, there is an objective quality to the tendency.
Right, but, saying that today's music sucks, which I agree with you, it does, but that's my opinion. When the music that I listen to now was today's music and everybody else said that it sucks, I was like, fuck you, I like it.
Well, I think that music is stuck and hasn't had a real chance to evolve because our entire society throughout the world is currently moving from centralized power to decentralized power. So musical taste is also moving from centralized to decentralized. So instead of there being, 70s music or 80s music, having so similar of music that a single style fits the entire era, like that's not going to be a thing, because everything's moving to a decentralized format. So you're going to see like musical subcultures like we've never seen before, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, and it's true. Like I make the joke all the time. It used to be there were, especially in rock and roll, it used to be there were hundreds of bands selling millions of albums, and now there's millions of bands selling hundreds of songs.
Mm-hmm.
Albums are gone. Yep. Right? The only people who do albums are like, well, I call them the leftover musicians, the one who came from a time when that's what you did. Now albums only exist for the vinyl crew, right? The people who have adopted vinyl as like their preferred format, or people who've gone back to it because they came from it. But that's a very, it's sort of like comic books, right? It's not, not everybody does vinyl, and, it's usually a collector's item and a short run when they do it and that kind of a thing. So the obvious method is digital, right? That's where music comes from. And like most bands have had to turn themselves into t-shirt companies, right? They go on tour, they make this music, they go out and they play it so that they can sell a bunch of fucking t-shirts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, now it's millions of bands selling hundreds of t-shirts.
Well, they sell the music too, and like a lot of bands, I've seen this. Our t-shirts are $20, and you get to download the whole album.
Well, and the artistic form of the album almost doesn't exist anymore because people stopped listening to entire albums one after another.
Yes.
Now it's just piecemeal.
I'm trying to find something for, in about 8 minutes, I guess. 5, 6, I can't count. I can only count to 4. I was looking for the lyrics.
Oh,
I had mentioned.
One thing I wanted to mention, like a grip ago, but like you were pointing out how a lot of this stuff like makes our way of thinking predictable. How a lot of what societies like.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's
the bar
obviously
fight and all of that.
Yeah, like there's a whole bunch of tropes that people see in the televisions and movies, and then when they grow up and live their lives, they live these tropes. They act them out.
And the thing is
because they think that that's how life is supposed to be.
Well, and the thing is, there's a trade-off there. So the upside of being predictable is that your infinite complexity is not actually something I can interact with. So you have to simplify yourself down to something if I'm going to interact with you. So if I can just trust you to be within this particular set of game rules at a given time, then I can interact with you without having to work out every single rule that we're going to play by.
Right. And so what I'm saying is, like, over the course of time, too, they change each trope a little bit, or they add a couple of different ingredients so that you have a sort of a basic unconscious guideline, right, of how you're supposed to act in certain situations. Right? When instead of thinking it through yourself, you immediately access this data bank of media that you've consumed that has told you this is how people act in these specific situations, right? Social situations, political situations, right? All of that kind of thing. And then in your mind, you have this built-in database that you immediately access when confronted with that specific situation. And because you have this built-in database, it's the path of least resistance for you to remember what the television told you and act that out. That's way easier than thinking it through for yourself and making an independent decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's my personal experience, right? Like, I feel like I was programmed, and somehow I escaped the feedback loop that you mentioned earlier in tonight's program. Like, like somehow, I don't know what that was, and like it seems to me that this occurs to libertarians or anarchist types frequently. And if we can figure out what that is, right, what triggers that in each of us individually, right, maybe it can help sort of trigger and wake up more people. Because I think we need that. I think we need a lot more freedom-loving people getting together and acting, in free ways to actually bring about the change.
I think that it's inevitable. I mean, if you look at the way societies change and how it compares to the technologies that they are developing, like, the technology drives the change in civilization. So the technology where we are seeking out information is going to fundamentally change the social organization of the entire world.
Yeah.
And having honest money is going to change us in ways that even I can't predict.
And I hope so. I really do. Like, I have enthusiasm because of decentralized technology. It's the first anarchic infrastructure that I'm aware of. I mean, outside of the internet, right? The internet you could claim is anarchic because you could take large sections of the internet apart and have them only communicate with each other and then put them back together with the rest of the internet. And you could do that as many times as you want. It's just the internet doesn't have a practical application for that yet, right? There are mini networks upon networks within networks and that kind of a thing. So, it's all working in this, sort of giant conglomerate mess, but it works out. So it's anarchic in that respect. It's just that something to fundamentally change human interaction with regards to communication of value, like, that's huge, man. That's like, I don't even know what it's like. It's like giving people a new sense, right? Oh, you had hearing and vision and taste and touch and smell. Oh, guess what? Now you got the seventh one.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to Bitcoin Audible, awesome podcast, and I forget the author, unfortunately, but one of the things that it was pointing out is, like, how this actually interacts with everything. That, like, okay, you have this thing that should have been impossible. Like, mathematicians and computer scientists have proven that it is impossible to solve the Byzantine general's problem. Like, here's the mathematical proof that this can never be solved, and yet here is a practical solution for that actually works.
Yeah.
It was thought to be impossible to have money that isn't issued or in any way connected to a government.
Right.
And here it is.
Yeah.
Like, so many things that were impossible.
Yeah.
All in one. It is thought to be impossible to abandon infinite fame, power, and wealth. And yet,
it's done.
Like, there's 1 million Bitcoin just sitting in a wallet.
Yep.
Forever untouchable and always visible.
Well, and there could be a number of reasons for that, of course,
but it's proof. Sure.
That it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's possible.
Certainly possible.
All of these things that were impossible are possible. What's that going to do to us?
The future is, that's what I'm saying about, like, what's the next thing, right? If we had, telegraph and telephone and television and then, the cell phones, right? Wireless, then the internet, right? Then, a bunch of different software, then cell phones again with the apps.
Well,
right? What's the next thing? What's the next
decentralization?
Oh, hang on. We can't go like that.
You are not obligated to stop the show. You may continue as long as you as long as you like.
I just I wanted to take the show out with a different piece of music.
Well, there's no time. There's no timing here.
Well,
the automation is going to end, and now you're going back to normal Beard Talk Live.
Please stop sounding like a hypnotist.
Right, but I think that we're already like a half hour over. Don't we usually?
Yeah, normally you
stop
do
at
3 hours, I
1:30?
think. But
So-
yeah,
I did
do
this
whatever
last
you want,
week,
man.
I think, too.
You do your thing,
wanna-
whatever you want.
I want to play this song and take us out with this. Did you want to finish your
Yeah,
thought?
absolutely. What I was saying is that it's decentralization itself that is the next big thing. So, I mean, we are only scratching the very surface of what Bitcoin itself is capable of. But all of the things that it is capable of is itself only the tip of the iceberg. What the next big thing is decentralization. So for thousands of years, we've been more powerful because we centralized information, resources, interactions.
Yep.
And now we have reached the pinnacle of centralization being empowering to humanity itself. And now things swap to the other side. And as we move more in the direction of decentralization, because like, fuck, dude, we've got a one world government at this point. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
We are currently struggling to stop us from having a one world currency. That is how centralized we are. And as we move away from centralization, just like centralization itself gave us all these powers, like clear glass was only possible when you had this massive competition in one particular city-state.
Yeah.
Just for an example. But now we're going to see the same level of creation, but from the opposite cause.
Hopefully people figure out that ultimately all governments do is provide services or products. And they do it at the behest of a gun, and they don't allow competition. But hopefully people realize that that's all those are, is products and services, and that a lot of people will oftentimes say, oh, hey, well, I want to do this thing that they have over in this other country, or I want our system to behave in the way this other system in this other country does, or, you know, we should have the same weed laws that Amsterdam has, or whatever, right? Pick your niche for government. Hopefully people figure out soon that that is a menu of features and products and services for you to choose from, and that perhaps one government is better at offering things than the other government, and they realize that, oh, you don't have to be a citizen of a particular government based on geography. Once people like realize that, once they have that that epiphany that like, oh, I could actually just digitally belong to a whole other government and still live here. Oh, great! Now you force governments to become competing agencies.
Right. And, you know, setting aside the philosophical quandary of, well, using violence is evil, and just looking at this from a realpolitik point of view. If my government completely surrounds you, it is way more effective. And if your government completely surrounds me, then it's way more effective. So if we at least partially untether these service providers from geographic locations, they're going to be way better at, say, providing security.
Yeah. With that, I think it's time to take us out. I do want to end tonight's program asking the question, what actually have governments done?
All the fruits and all the vegetables and grains. I kept them for myself, but made a price that you could pay. And from this early pattern, a structure to become. And that's about the only thing that governments have done. I hired you to work for me so you could buy my food. Created an economy that barely gave a clue. Then you did all the labor, but I got all the funds. And that's about the only thing that governments have done. I built a giant fortress where my family could reside. I filled your workers up with myths of patriotic pride. I filled my life with luxury and politics and fun. And that's about the only thing that governments have done. I sent the children off to schools to be taught and trained in the roles that benefit and keep the system maintained. I kept them from their history and slowly made them dumb. And that's about the only thing that governments have done. I launched a million wars in the name of private greed. Killed off all the natives from the mountains to the sea. I murdered them with slavery and smallpox and guns. And that's about the only thing the governments have done. I built with brick a place for those who wouldn't play my game, who refused to fight my wars for me or papers to my name. I built a giant prison wall so people couldn't run. And that's about the only thing the governments have done. Gave some of you back some freedom with my silly Bill of Rights. Used all the proper language so you wouldn't rise to fight. I fooled y'all with imagery, now look what I've become. And that's about the only thing the governments have done. Yes, I fought long and hard to secure my place on top, with bombs and tanks and crack cocaine and violence from the cops. I kept you apathetic and this is how I've won. And that's about the only thing the governments have done. Yeah, that's about the only thing the governments have done.